We have payroll in the amount of $40,144, payroll taxes in the amount of $9,989. We have accounts payable in the amount of $36,443, retirement system payment in the amount of $63,273.
I just went on YouTube, it's not.
We'll take a pause.
Oh, you can
Okay.
do financial
Yeah,
stuff.
we can.
Okay, fine. And then I'll take a motion on that.
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
And the consent agenda this week, we have rec manifest and we have also building permits.
I did not see the rec manifest.
Okay.
Hmm?
Sure. We'll take a motion now to accept the consent agenda.
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Before we get started with discussion and action items, I do want to report at this time, and I know it's already out in the public, Chief Dodie's resignation. I want to say that when we hired Chief Dodie, I felt as young men go, he had and has one of the, a great amount of integrity, which is why we hired him. I still believe that even more so today, having gotten to know Chief Dodie over the last year or even longer, you know, before he was chief. I want to make it perfectly clear that in no way whatsoever is Chief Dodie being asked by this board to leave. This was a decision on his part to move into the private sector. I can only say that I wish the very, very best for Chief Dodie, who I think is a wonderful human being, a good family man, and I can't say enough good things about him. So I really appreciate the service that you've given to this town, and thank you.
Great.
I'd be remiss if I didn't read, because there has been issues with regard to the termination of mutual aid, particularly as it pertains to Epping. I would be remiss if I didn't read my letter in response to the town of Epping. This was, even though it was a letter that was written to us by Chief Wallace, I wrote to the town administrator, Mr. Rogers, as follows. On behalf of the Brentwood Selectboard, this is in response to Chief Wallace's letter dated July 17, 2025. We find that the generalized accusations underlying the termination of mutual aid to be baseless and devoid of any factual basis. Further, the allegations that the Brentwood Police Department has a pattern of unprofessional and dangerously incompetent behavior exposing the town of Epping to civil liability are a gross misrepresentation of the facts. Chief Wallace's statement that these concerns have been brought to Chief Dodie without corrective action is additionally without documentation. In fact, The only written communication that Chief Dodie has received from the Epping Police Department was a highly complimentary email dated April 30th, 2025, authored by Captain Cody, commending the outstanding support by Brentwood PD officers during a recent New England Dragway event. Finally, Chief Wallace's threat that the town of Epping will not provide assistance to any incidents in Brentwood except in a dire emergency is highly unprofessional. In sum, the Brentwood Selectboard takes unsubstantiated accusations of this nature very seriously and fully supports the action, integrity, and professionalism of its police chief and the members of the Brentwood Police Department. Despite these accusations, Select Board members, the town administrator, and Chief Dodie remain willing to meet with their counterparts from the town of Epping in order to move our respective neighboring towns forward in a respectful, professional, and productive manner. That was on behalf of the board, signed by myself as chair. Letter dated August 7th, 2025. There has not been a response, basically crickets, to this letter. I'm also here to report that as within days of this becoming public, we as a board have received applications from at least two what appear to be very talented individuals who we will be speaking about in non-public later to discuss for potential hire, as well as a plan to succeed Justin Chief Dodie moving forward. So that's all I have to say about the police department at this point. I do want to introduce at this time our new building inspector and code enforcement officer. He comes to us with 23 years of experience from the town of Rye. He is already busy on top of permits, on top of code enforcement. I know in speaking with him, he's indicated that he is delighted to be here and is finding all of the staff here very generous of their time, and has already indicated his enjoyment working here for the town of Brentwood. So welcome, Chuck Marston, our new town building inspector and code enforcement officer. I can tell you in terms of the operations of this town, we're moving forward. We have Jason here from the rec department, who is in the midst of getting his college degree, as he should, but he has been the assistant rec director. He has expressed his interest in continuing. Unfortunately, doesn't have the hours, being a college man, to take on this job full time, but we're looking for options that will support Jason, and he's also expressed interest in continuing on with the town of Brentwood in this role after college, and I think that is commendable. We also have a couple of talented individuals who, and we have an interim welfare director and a couple of individuals who have expressed their interest. Both seem quite talented for that position. And I can tell you that this town, between Julie in her position as finance director and Jillian in her role as point person, basically assuming all sorts of duties, are doing absolutely yeoman's work in keeping this town moving forward. And I think, you know, in this time, they're due an expression of gratitude. So, without further ado, I am going to bring Julie Stevens up. I know there are a lot of people here tonight to listen about healthcare, what has happened, and how we're going to try to move it forward and what she's done since we last spoke about it. So, thank you.
I'm going to start by handing around a revised spreadsheet of where we're currently at, where we would be at with the handbook, and then I will go on to one proposed alternative for next year. Oh, here's one. This has changed a little bit from the last rendition you got, in that I have found some errors in the number of employees on each plan, or made those current, and have found some errors in the amount that the town is paying, and therefore the employees are contributing. The biggest item there is that the employees on the Plan B family plan are actually 97% of their current rate is being picked up by the town. I think it was previously down at 91%. Not really sure how we got to that point. I can't speak to that. I don't know if you want to dig any deeper on that situation.
I appreciate this. You know, I love a good spreadsheet. Anyone that knows me knows I love a good spreadsheet. I personally feel like this is a bit premature because it seems like, based on the minutes that I just saw, this is not a budgeting issue as much as it is a failure to update the handbook properly after the board made a decision. And so I think the board maybe should decide.
Should decide what? I'm not deciding.
No, I know.
I'm just pointing out the way that it is, the way it stands right now,
Yes.
up top. Right, clerical updates on the top portion.
Okay.
And I think, you know, the idea is to, you know, give, you know, an understanding of, you know, how things would look, you know, if we move to, you know, things that are potentially viable.
Right.
Okay, so.
I mean, I'm just saying that even if what some people think that Plan A was the 75%, Plan B family is still significantly a shortfall from where it should be.
Sure.
Apparently not, just two. The handbook does
says
say three.
And I guess that's why, again, I appreciate this.
There was nobody on the third one.
Thanks. Number two, taken a lot of numbers into consideration over the past week, and you can imagine that I had to do a lot of digging and looking at things. My understanding is Plan A is the better plan, correct?
Yes, that Plan A and Plan B are basically identical in the amount of co-pays and coverage. The difference being that Plan B has a deductible of $1,000 per person for single and two-person, and $3,000 for family.
And which plan was the one that was supposed to be the 75%, 100%? Was that in the handbook, I believe?
I guess that would be
I
up
think,
for debate.
I think that's the question, right?
Okay.
It sounds like when that policy was
so we
written,
need to
there were
clarify that.
3,
Okay.
and
I
now
mean-
there are 2, and you can't take the middle of 2.
To me, it doesn't make sense that
Okay.
Plan A would be the one that you're working off of, because then it says that Plan B, you pay the difference, and that just doesn't mathematically work.
Okay, so we need to revise that then? Okay.
So you had a chance to meet
Yes.
with,
I just didn't know if there were any more questions on
Yep.
the top part.
Mm-mm.
If not, I did have an opportunity to meet with Andy from Health Trust when I was in Concord attending class. And he went over different options.
Andy's the broker.
Right, the broker from Health
Yep.
Trust.
Yep.
He went over different options on ways to reduce costs, but hopefully not impact the employees too much. His biggest recommendation would be the town participating in a health reimbursement arrangement. And if you, I can pass this out as well. This second sheet just summarizes what the bottom part states, hopefully a little bit more clearly. Then this is just, there are a lot of different options out there on what you could do and what you could play around with. Tons of different policies that you could go with higher deductibles. Obviously, you can't go any lower than the Plan A, which has no deductibles. So we were just sticking with the Plan A and Plan B that we currently have. And if you eliminate Plan A and have all employees to Plan B, that's what this proposal just shows based on this is all on current rates. We do not know next year's rates. And it just shows what the impact would be to the town and to the employees. Again, it's the same exact plan with the same exact co-pays. The only difference is you have a deductible. The second sheet I handed out shows that if the 8 participants from Plan A were to move to Plan B,
It's single participant.
right, single, sorry.
Yep.
The impact to that, we would still cover them 100% as we do now. On Plan A, they're covered at 100%. They would be covered 100% on Plan B. They would have the $1,000 deductible, but if we participated in the health reimbursement arrangement, we would reimburse them $500. So the only additional expense to the employees moving from A to B would be $500 a year. Those who are already on Plan B and would be staying on Plan B and are singles would be receiving an additional $500 a year from the town towards their deductible. Moving on to the 2-person, there are currently 5 people on Plan A and a 2-person, and there are none on Plan B and 2-person. For those 5 employees who would be moving, they would have, they currently pay $623.57. They would, on Plan B, pay $534.42. So with that savings multiplied by 12, and then the deductible would be $2,000 that they would have to pay. The end result between the savings and the monthly contribution and the addition of the deductible is $930.20. But then we would reimburse them $1,000 towards their deductible, and they would actually get $69.80. So basically a break even, no additional expense to them.
That would be for a couple.
Yes, for a 2-person. The big hit unfortunately comes in family plans. We have 1 now on Plan A, which will not be on that plan. That employee is leaving. On Plan B, there are 7, and due to the fact that they have been contributing far less than they should have, no matter what math you use for that, they would take the biggest hit if you look over to the right. The additional expense per year based on the difference between, they pay now $100.40 a month. They would have to contribute $245.30, plus they would have a $3,000 deductible. That brings their expense per year to an additional $4,738.80. We would,
And just so everyone's clear, that's based on what percentage?
that's based on the town paying 90% of the premium cost.
And before, according to the handbook, it was 175.65, correct?
175.75 according to the handbook.
Okay.
Yes. Currently, it's 97 that the town is paying, so it would be 90%. They would be eligible for $1,500 HRA towards their deductible, so their annual contribution, in addition to what they pay now, would be $3,238.80.
Okay, and because I like numbers, so we
Yeah.
get to dance a little. What's this, I'm looking at the benefit sheet you have,
Mhm.
employees, the amount the employee was supposed to pay was 0 for single.
Right.
$623.57 a month for couple, $841.79 for family.
That's what they are paying.
They
not-
are
Not
currently
what
paying
they,
it?
yes, not what they should be paying. This shows, if you were to go by the handbook, this shows you what it would be.
But
Just-
the handbook
but-
is 175.75, that's 83.
Well, it's debatable whether that refers to Plan B or Plan A.
Because the plan that was dropped was originally Plan A. I mean, I guess we don't know.
I don't know that.
These are currently what comes out of employees' paychecks?
Yes.
Okay. Okay, so that's not even, based on what you said last time, that's not even the correct number, maybe?
What's coming out of their paychecks?
Yes.
It is definitely not the correct number.
Okay.
It's not what we're,
It's what's currently happening.
I know,
Yeah.
Yep.
but it's not
It's not what it should.
it's not in alignment with what they should be
With
doing.
anything that I can come up with.
Okay.
And just so we're clear, the single plan would remain as being paid 100% contribution. The two-person couple plan, that would be at 75%, but nevertheless would still result in
Breaking in even.
breaking even. And then contributing 90% to the family plan would result in an impact, as you've indicated on the chart there, which is,
About $3,239.
Sorry, to clarify, is this your suggestion, or is
This is just one option.
this is for
that's-
2025 or 2026?
This is only using 25 numbers because we don't know 26.
And we don't
So
know what
wouldn't make it-
policies we
As far
might
as I
have.
know, there's not going to be any changes made this year for 2025, is my understanding.
So so all of this would be starting January 1st? Question mark?
It's
Tentatively.
not my decision.
yeah.
We're still gonna,
That's-
as a board, I think we'd have to
Okay.
look at, number one, what was the intent of the handbook, getting it back in an alignment, and then doing probably an addendum to the handbook if you're only gonna be offering 2 options versus 3, and saying, this is what the intention would be for us paying, and then we move that forward
Right,
for
and
next year.
then deciding percentages and everything else.
Straighten it out. for
But
next
this is just
year. Over.
an example,
Right.
if you will, of what an option could look like in
Mhm.
terms of potential, impacts.
Yep.
And I think that, is important to all of the employees that are here.
Yeah, what we're doing right now is we're figuring out where we are so that we can then figure out where we need to go and how to get there. It's that simple. We need to figure out where we are. This is what we're doing right now.
Julie, do you have a savings to the town in terms of doing these percentages versus the percentages that we've been doing?
Yes. This option would save the town $51,304, basically. That's based on, if you're looking at what we're currently paying and what this proposal is,
But only Plan B.
with only offering Plan B.
And that would be from now until the end of the year? Or that would be,
This
No.
is just,
okay.
because we don't have numbers for 2026, I can't.
I'm,
predict.
so I'm wondering if I should divide that number by 12 and then multiply by 3?
No,
or-
this is, I think, what a potential impact would look like if
Currently.
we brought it,
Current.
No,
to these.
Not
to-
suggesting that that's going to be done for
Right,
this
to these
year.
levels for starting January of 2026. But again, we don't know what the rates are, but this is, an exemplar.
If the
you
rates
will.
stayed the same, this is what it would be, but most likely they're not gonna stay.
And
the
I
same.
guess I'm gonna look to Andy and Bob, our newest. Typically, would the board pick plans and,
No,
like, how would that typically work?
I think typically what they do is we always had 3 plans, right? So you had the best one.
Fun fact, you
Or-
did not
and-
always have 3 plans,
Well, we
apparently.
should have had 3 plans, according to the handbook. But going back to Jeff Bryant, who always used to use the good, the bad, the ugly. So we would always have the good, the bad, the ugly. And then my understanding is we would pay for 100% or whatever the cost is for the ugly per individual, 75% of the plan for,
The good.
2. And then for the family plan, I thought it was 65, but if it's 75, then it would be the same thing. And then it changes as it gets to the better plans because we would contribute less if they have more out of pocket, but then maybe we're putting money into an HSA account. So there's other variables that go in. And I think because it's been convoluted and changed and modified, I think we need to get back to the basics and probably come up with from the broker that's not going to come out until next month. So we're kind of ahead of the game. Is getting us what's the current rates, because we need to have that to the employees by November. So give me the good, the bad, the ugly, 3 plans. We offer it. It's up to them what they choose. And we still have to do an addendum of this is what, as a town, what it would cost us and what we agree to marry it up so it's in alignment with the handbook. And so we're consistent and we move forward with that.
So I guess, and I think this is what you're saying, I would prefer as a board member that we see all of the choices and then we as a board decide which 3 we would like to offer and
Right.
all
This
of
is
those
a
other
little
things.
premature.
So
Yeah.
I guess, so the question is really, what are we gonna do now?
There's not much you can do right now until you get those numbers.
I-
So right now, we kind of, it's great. For me, what I want to know is how much have we overspent because we weren't doing the calculations properly? And how can we move forward so we don't have that error going forward?
So
If we don't have those numbers, then we pause and we wait till we get the numbers and we just move forward versus being stuck in the weeds.
But I think the significance of this is to give at least, because there's a lot of, concern out there in the public, is to give at least some idea of what a scenario might look like and, how that would affect, employees, because I think they need to know that.
And we don't know what the rates are gonna be, but I
don't.
mean, looking at from November 14th of 2023, just looking at some of the minutes, back then the rates went up 15.6%. So I can't really give somebody and calm them down on what potential we might be seeing because I don't know what we're gonna see until next month.
That's true.
So it's like going to buy a car and saying, I only want to pay it for this much, but the new models are coming out and they're going to charge me $5,000-$10,000 more and trying to say, well, can I squeeze this into the pricing of today? I don't know what the pricing of tomorrow is. And it's premature for us to basically say, we're going to expect this. I can say we're working on it, but at this point, I don't have a finished product or do I have anything to present to anybody? I don't even know if the car's out of the shop yet with the paint color. So
That's all true.
Yeah.
And we won't know that until the rates come out and then until we see what the plans look like and we have a chance to, review all of that. But again, this is an exemplar, if you will, of.
we're looking at it and
Yep.
bear with us.
And this is not the only thing that we're looking at. We're exploring several different avenues. This is just one avenue.
Yeah, I mean,
Yeah.
there's one broker, but there's other brokers we can talk to. and
Right.
Try to get rates. It's like buying car insurance.
I was going to add that Andy recommended I reach out to a broker that Sandown uses.
schoolhouse?
And I did reach out to her, and she's requested some documents from me, which I will get to her so that we can get that moving. And I know Jim Hajar was working with somebody too.
And I would definitely recommend that you give us the good, the bad, the ugly.
What's that? Oh, okay.
Jim says it was the town administrator, just for
Clarity.
record, well, unless you're on a microphone, the thing can't hear you. So I guess, in my opinion, this is all great information for the next step, kind of like what Bob was saying. But
Right.
right now, the question is, what do we do right now? And I know that I'm looking at you just because that's where you, and you're not HR, so I really appreciate you doing this work, like a lot. Thank you. I guess I would make a motion or have a discussion with the board that we should keep things the way they are right now through January 1st, at which point all the employees would be able to go through open enrollment and decide based on what plans and everything we offer, what their things would look like moving forward.
I mean, my understanding is that we, again, this is me looking at it for this last week and trying to figure out what you guys have been doing for the last couple of years. So my understanding is that in the budget, you guys are budgeting, anticipating that you might have somebody that has a life change, and therefore they had to go from a single plan to a married plan, or from married plan, two-person plan to a family plan because maybe they had a child or they adopted somebody. So there's life changes. So there's some buffer in there to adjust for that.
Yep.
And I think we should be utilizing that buffer at this point while we pause to figure out what we're doing to reconcile where we went wrong with the numbers. The percentages that have been impacting the employees is different from what it should have been. I think we need to pause before we modify anything, understanding that we had that buffer. It's going to help to hopefully alleviate what we would want to claw back. I don't anticipate us clawing back, but it depends on what that clawback would have to be. How much have we not paid?
Yeah, I would say, Bob, that any clawback I would be against.
Yeah.
I'm just, throwing
And that's
that
where
out
I would
there.
utilize that buffer to kind of make up for that
Yeah.
variable.
And to me, I don't think there's any question that we're continuing and moving on, through the end of 2025. And what we'd be looking at is moving forward. Once we get, the new rates in the beginning of October of 2026. Again, this was, an idea, an exemplar, just to get at least on the table what we'd be looking at if, we brought, things down to 90% of a contribution on the family plan, and what the impacts would be moving down with the single plan and the two-person couple plan.
I do think there needs to be a discussion about, hopefully we're going to have several new employees starting. What are we going to do for them? I mean, are we going to go with the way it should be done or the way it is done for those employees?
That's a good
It's
question.
something we kind of need to figure out soon.
So I would say that we would treat them the same as every other employee, depending on when they start. They might not have access to the current situation because the board's gonna create maybe a whole new list of policies and percentages. Ideally, then they would be on those.
Is there a waiting period for our employees to join the plan?
Just
Or is it day
the
one?
beginning of the next month.
Next month. Okay, so if they start mid-month, they gotta wait until the beginning, the first. And before we know it, it's gonna be January 1st. So I would say as a board, we should probably stay consistent with what we've been charging at this point. Get them on the plans. You are at the end of the year, so it's not like I'm looking at April. I'm literally looking at, here we are, October 1st is the next, and then it's gonna be November 1st, so we only have a couple months to bake this thing, so.
Julie, I think you said that we would, or somebody said we would get rates in a month or maybe even less at this
October
point.
7th or something like that.
Correct.
So we would be doing open enrollment at the beginning of November, maybe. So we should have all these answers within a month or so.
Yep.
So I think what Bob's saying is probably,
Yeah.
So
I
right
think
now, I
given,
think
given
it's
the
just a
short amount,
pause.
yeah, given the short amount of time, I think what you're saying makes, absolute sense to keep it
Consistent.
consistent.
Agreed.
So I'll make a motion to keep it consistent at this point.
I would second that.
All in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
do we need to do anything about the employee handbook not agreeing?
Not at this point, we're gonna have to have a discussion and then do an addendum. At this point, we are agreeing to stay as it's being done right now. That's what that motion was for.
For
Consistent.
health and dental?
Yeah, I don't think we have too many on the dental plan, do we?
We
Yeah, we do.
do.
I have a spreadsheet on that. I didn't bring it tonight because I figured we were gonna.
I
look at it.
just printed the page from the handbook, and it says that we will pay 100%
Yeah,
of dental, which we currently do not for everyone, so.
Is that for individual, family, or
Does
Two.
not say.
doesn't clarify? So that's something that we probably should clarify also.
Sure, I'm wondering if we should just codify somehow that these two sections, we acknowledge that they are not currently in sync with what we're doing, and we're gonna work on it.
I think we've already acknowledged that, just in the
Okay.
meeting alone.
Okay.
Because in the meeting, we're saying, we understand we have a variable that we inadvertently erred on,
Mm-hmm.
and the error comes to our wallets versus the employees.
It's worth mentioning, and correct me if I'm wrong, Julie, but I'm pretty sure we planned for it the wrong way. Like, we budgeted in 2025 for that 100%, 75%.
I have no idea. I
Okay,
could
never
not
mind.
begin to
Nope.
tell you how those numbers were come up,
Never mind.
who or why they are where they are.
So we'll just have to come up with an addendum to the handbook for dental and for health.
Could we do that as part of when we're picking those plans and stuff?
We can do all that at the same time, having a discussion on the table.
That would be the point. You'd have to do it at that time.
Yeah.
I would just like to make one more recommendation, and not really sure when or why that health benefit expense was moved from the individual budgets to one main insurance line, but it seems to me if they were moved back into the budgets, or if they had remained into the individual department budgets, that this issue would have come to light a lot earlier than it did. So my recommendation would be to move the benefits back into the department's budgets.
Believe it was moved because some departments only had 1 or 2 employees, so you could determine what type of coverage each person was getting, which was not supposed to be able to be done.
And
So like planning board has 1 person in it, so if everybody would know what coverage Mark got for insurance. Daphne's office has 2 people in it. You would know what people were getting for health insurance coverage.
Mm.
That's the way it was explained why we created one big budget. So I think we would have to talk with Health Trust and see how other towns do it, and if that's,
if I recall correctly, we also did that because of variables inside each budget. Like, so if I had in '23 a 15.6% increase in the budget, and I have only Mark in that department, his increase in his budget line is like, whoosh, even though it's all benefits. So then it's like, well, you gotta cut this thing, because I wanted to get it in line with consistency with the rest of everyone, but he only has 1 person. So where fire department might have enough, a handful, and it's gonna offset it, so.
But I mean, we would understand that when we're reviewing the budgets. I think it's just a
Right.
question of whether or not,
It's
you know,
easier to see.
well, easier to see, and also, you know, is there any kind of privacy, you know, issue, which is, I think, what Andy is raising. I don't think so, but I'm certain, something to ask, you know,
Is it
NHMA.
like the HIPAA thing? Is that what
that was the,
Yeah, well, that's what I
Well, because
hear Andy saying.
department heads shouldn't even know what their employees take for insurance, right? That's confidential. Question mark.
I don't know
Yeah.
that that's
Don't-
a HIPAA concern, but you know, again, I've never heard of that as being a HIPAA concern. I think it's something we should ask NHMA, because,
Yeah.
you know, if it can be done in the way Julie's recommending, I think it makes sense. And, you know, could avoid what has occurred, so.
And for ease of accounting, I wouldn't have a problem doing that. as long
You
as
want
we're
to
not
check
in
into
violation.
that, Julie,
Oh, yeah.
NHMA?
Yes.
Okay. All right.
Do we know what other towns are doing too? Doing it individually, departments?
At my meetings I've been going to in Concord, it was recommended that they be in the individual budgets.
Could we? No, 'cause I was trying to think if there's a way to split the difference where there's a benefits budget, but then within each line, there's like a planning board benefit, you know, so that it would still be broken out by department, but still all the same place to your point, Bob, so it wouldn't blow individual budgets, but I guess really all of this is a question for who does HR next.
Yeah.
Which is, have you changed your mind?
No.
Okay.
She's right.
Julie, thank you for your help with this.
I
Appreciate it.
yeah.
I'm gonna
Yeah.
keep asking just in case you change.
Yeah, really appreciate it.
Thank you very much.
If I can, Paul, just one quick second. I would
Yep.
like to say, that, I mean, I understand there's a lot of employees here tonight, and I appreciate everyone coming, and I want them to know that we're working very hard to make sure that we're fair and equitable to both the employee and to the taxpayer. So we're working hard on that, so.
Well, I know there's public comment that we usually put at the end, but if there are questions or people want to speak specifically about this issue, I'll open it up at this point.
Liz Freya, South Road. What I don't understand is why the new employees or the new hires have to be compensated in the same wrong way as the current. I understand to keep the current whole till the end of the year, but why would you make the same mistakes now that you've discovered the mistakes with the brand new employees?
I think we need to be consistent, and if I was the accountant doing the numbers, I would say for me to basically separate one person out of all the people that are taking the plans, it's,
Yeah, but-
number one, going to be more time invasive to do that. Number two, I don't think it's fair to have a new person that is coming in and not get the same benefits that we are extending to the prior employees that are already still here.
My understanding, Liz, benefits have to be equal across the board. So
We're
we're
not-
doing it equally, and we're talking about a matter of 3 months, so.
And actually, not even 3 months, you're talking 2 months.
Yeah.
Because you're talking October and November, well, they pick it up in October, so yeah, 3 months,
3
2 months, it depends on when they get hired.
You sure can.
Roy Olson, Deputy Chief. So, a lot of the information that you're working off of is actually not correct. On November 14th, 2023, the board had a meeting. The Budget Committee wasn't able to find this information and didn't put it in, and is working off an incorrect assumption because they weren't able to find this information. Karen came forward and had a discussion about insurance with you guys. And it was basically, she told you that Health Trust was canceling Plan A across the board in New Hampshire. So Plan A was the most expensive plan and the top Cadillac plan, and they got rid of it. So Plan B got moved to the top plan, and Plan C got moved to Plan B. Because in that meeting, she talked to the select board about recommending to not add a third plan and to change the handbook to 2 plans. And they had a discussion about adding a high deductible, and she recommended not doing that. She stated that it was not cost effective to the town at that moment in time, and they had a vote on it to change the handbook from 3 to 2. And they voted, all the selectmen voted to do that. So you're basing all this information on wrong information because Karen never updated the handbook in the end. You're only supposed to have 2 plans, and it wasn't Plan B that got canceled, it was Plan A that got canceled. So the numbers that everybody is basing their numbers off of is all incorrect. Because you're basing your numbers off of, it should have been Plan A, ultimately, that you're compensating for all the other numbers underneath it.
And I would say, since Plan A has no deductible and is 0, I would say we still have to go through with an addendum. The prior board's decision can't bind a future board's. And so at this point, we need to still create an addendum.
Yep.
I think if we make, as a board, if we make a decision that we're only going to go with 2 plans, we need to make the change in the handbook. But as a board, if we make a decision to put forward 3, then that just gives more options to the employees to choose what they choose.
Yep.
I would say the Plan A, which appears to be the Cadillac plan, because there's 0 deductible.
There was one higher than
The
that.
current Plan A, or-
What was the current higher plan? What was in
I
that
can
included
show
benefits?
you.
I mean, yeah,
I actually have it.
yeah.
I believe it was like $1 prescriptions and,
Oh, really Cadillac?
yeah.
It was like the old school
So that was,
HMO, like,
instead of the good, the bad, the ugly, that was the best.
Yeah.
The bad, the ugly. I want the good, the bad, the ugly.
but I think to Roy's point, if the board at the time voted, and I don't know, I know my name isn't on there.
Yeah.
I think that was also after you, Bob, so you're
Plan
off
A
the
was
hook too.
this one, that's the one that got canceled.
Well, these are 25s, not 23s. I'm just going off, it says 25s. So
It's behind.
it's 24.
So you had this one, which is the one that got canceled because Health Trust canceled it. That's how we found the data, we backtracked. From 25 to 24 to 23 to see where we lost the plan.
And then you carried over the same number from 24 to 25 costs.
Yeah, that's my fault.
That's right. So that, I know that that was an inaccuracy, but, you know, she's taken responsibility for that.
Okay.
Also, what was stated, that's the irritation to the employees out of this whole thing, that I'm dealing with at this moment, is that you're being too generous to the employees when you're in the bottom 10 percentile. I ran 42 towns and more than 30 of them in Rockingham County, and we're in the bottom 10 percentile.
But if you looked at the overall budget, see where you fall in that?
No, because that's not how people look at finding a job.
I mean, also, are these, apples to apples? Are we
Yeah.
talking the same plans?
I didn't put in singular plans because every town basically covers 95 to 100%.
Yep.
I didn't cover high deductibles because we don't have it. I only looked at 2-person and 3-person and what was the largest cost share to the town in all of those towns. And like I said, I took every town in Rockingham that I could get the information from, because that's the data that we should use, Rockingham County towns. And then I sprinkled in a couple of towns from around the state. And that was the data that I could get in a short amount of time.
So,
And the plans are similar. They're not all exactly alike because every town offers something a little bit different. But the point is that it's stated that you're being generous when you're actually in the bottom 10 percentile.
and I think we're generous when I look at certain towns the same size. So I would beg to differ with you on that, because I look at towns with similar size, and the only one that's above us right now for total budgets would be per capita. If you look at the total budgets for like Greenland is 1,134,102, where Brentwood for 24 was 1,007,289. The next one would be Northwood, which is population very similar. We have 4,773, they have 4,700, and they are coming in at 759,800. So I want to look at the whole budget. I don't want you cherry picking and looking at apples and picking different things. I want apples for oranges. I want to compare similar size towns, similar populations, and what's the budget, and does it marry up? And if it doesn't, then we need to look at it and have a hard look on why are we high? Like out of 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9 different towns, we're the second highest. Why?
So,
Can
Bob,
have a
I think,
copy of whatever that is?
Roy, the deputy chief is talking employee-related items, not total budget.
Yep.
It's not the employee's fault what the total budget is. They're concerned about what their salary and their benefits plan is gonna be.
I agree with that, but I think we need to look at everything holistically, because when I did budget for 9 years, and when I look at stuff now, and when I looked at it on the select board for 9 years after that, and when I look at it currently, I'm looking at it going, all right, it needs to be equitable, as Jim mentioned earlier, not only for the employees,
Yep.
but also the taxpayers.
Yep.
And I look at everything and I say, all right, let's look at what the demographics are and see where we vary between towns. And for when somebody comes in and says, hey, you aren't paying your fair share because we're underpaid, I take offense to that. So I look at that and I go, I'm going to push back and get prepared for it, because I will. And I'm going to ask you to clarify that. And I'm going to ask you to justify why we are ranked here when you tell me that I'm shortchanging somebody.
And
I don't
see-
think we are shortchanging them. I agree that we need to look at it and make it fair and equitable, but I also want to look at the holistic, everything all together.
Yep. What I'm saying is the 75-25 is not what the current standard is.
And so.
Now, I'm not saying that the 97% isn't high. I'm not even arguing that fact. But all the other employees are paying 75-25. That's not the standard or the average. It's actually 86.97%.
Yeah, but the point is, that's not what's happening, and, you know,
Yeah.
now we're trying to move the ball, you
Yeah,
know, forward.
and
And
that's
that's
fine.
why Julie gave that exemplar
But
that she
it's-
did to show a, you know, a scenario whereby,
I'm
You
just
know,
bringing
you're up at
forth that
90.
I found the data that shows that you voted to get rid of the third plan and not have 3 plans. You voted to have 2.
Yep.
Nobody seemed to be able to find that. So therefore, that's why I'm bringing that forward, because everybody is basing their data off a handbook that's 20 years old and outdated and that didn't get updated. That's all.
yeah, and I don't see that in the minutes, but be that as it may, I'm trying to move the ball forward.
Thank you for finding that information.
Yep.
Yeah, thank you, Roy.
Mark Kennedy, Land Use Administrator for the Town of Brentwood, also a resident of Brentwood, 7 Prescott Road. I find it interesting that this isn't ancient history we're talking about here. We're talking about November 14th, 2023. And there were 2 members that are sitting in the board in front of me that were present and voted for it. So I'm not quite sure where the disconnect comes from, where this couldn't be found, because there's probably 20 copies floating around this office right now. You voted for it. The mistake happened when you didn't update the handbook. That's the true mistake. No employee standing here is at fault for that.
Which is why we're still paying for it,
Correct.
but we will rectify it.
Mm-hmm. That's what I'm afraid of. And that's what everybody else in this room is afraid of, Bob.
Well, in all fairness, it's not fair to the taxpayer either. It's.
You're not
Back to
bound,
both.
you're not bound by other select boards, and I understand that, and I respect that. But own it, but own it.
Okay.
Don't,
But it affects both. So that is the big thing. I mean,
Mhm.
I understand, I understand the employee's side of it, but I also understand the taxpayer side of it. So
Mhm.
what I can't speak for anyone else on this board, but what I want to do is come up with something that is fair and equitable for both taxpayer and employee. I don't want to impact the employee at all. The fact is we might have to, but I don't want to impact the taxpayer either, and it's unfair for the taxpayer that's been paying more for this, right? So you understand where both sides are coming from.
So
I certainly do, but when benefits are given and you're going to take them away or double,
Who said that we're going to take them away?
well, by
Who said that we're going to take them away? I have been
I just
saying
did.
hang on one second.
Yeah.
I've been saying from the beginning that we are finding issues. People need to be patient. We are working on a solution. We haven't come up with a solution. We haven't told anyone that we have a solution. What we're doing is telling people, guess what? we've found errors, and we're working on these errors right now. So thank God we have found these now and not 5 years from now. Can you imagine that? So I didn't cause this problem, but I'm working to fix it. And I'm working on being fair to everyone. That's why I'm here, to be fair to everybody, not just you, not just that taxpayer in the back, but everyone.
If this-
So we have not come up with anything yet.
If
Mhm.
anything, I want to also stress that we all just voted to keep it consistent until we can straighten out, organize the chaos. We still have to organize the chaos. Right now, I wasn't here when whatever changed.
That was the good.
Right?
Now we're just preparing ourselves for the bad and the ugly, Bob.
Well, we don't know what that is
Mhm.
yet,
Nope,
right?
we
So we
don't.
need to be patient, and we need understanding from everyone, right? We're trying to solve the problem, and we're trying to do it the right ways for everyone. And people need to understand that. They need to be patient. This isn't anything that's going to happen overnight. We're being as transparent as we possibly can be under the law.
Yes, and we're here to advocate for,
I haven't heard,
benefits that
but
impact all
but you
of
know
us.
what? Honestly, I haven't heard anyone thank us for that,
that,
for being transparent and coming up and trying to come up with solutions.
that's not going to happen
Mark,
this evening.
I think,
So
again, I think.
this
the
still
point-
amazes me that this information couldn't be found, and it just happened in 2023. It amazes me that so much argument, I should say, conversation has come about without ever talking about this information. All your employees are watching. All your employees are waiting.
We know that.
We-
We understand that.
We
Mhm.
aren't going to get the rates until next month.
Yep,
I can tell you, at my company, they offer 3 plans. I don't take that plan because I go with the one at my wife's, because we look at it every year and I go, who's got the better plan and where's it going to cost me the least?
right. Some
That's
of,
how I look at it, and I would assume that employees that, unfortunately, if you're single, you don't have a choice. One person. But if
doesn't
you
matter,
have
right?
significant other, it gives you options. If you have family plans and there's other options, those are the things that you look at everything holistically, and I think we're trying to do the same thing. I know I'm not gonna have the numbers until next month. So at this point, it's kind of like putting the cart before the horse, because I don't even know what the rates are gonna be. We
Right.
might find out instead of 15%, 15.6 like they had in 23 that were in the notes for that it was gonna increase 15.6. Maybe there's a reduction. I do know that, 20, 21, 22, those rates when they came in, everything was in flux because of the whole COVID chaos and everything else that was going on with that. So there was a lot more people going to the doctors and everything else. I'm hoping that things are starting to calm back down, and maybe we'll see a reduction in the benefits that they send to us. And if we're looking at different brokers, that's another avenue that we can go, all right, well, now I'm not going to the same agent. I'm going to a different one. And so if they give us different variables, I'm in insurance. I shop around for my homeowner's insurance and my auto insurance every year. Sometimes I change, sometimes I don't. But if I get it cheaper over here, I'm going to go for that.
Yes.
So we're doing our due diligence by trying to get other brokers. I think now there's 2 different brokers we're looking at.
Go ahead, Letty.
I don't envy your plight, but the people here are ready to advocate for themselves. We're ready to advocate for each other. And I think that's a good thing.
Yeah.
And some of the preliminary figures that I just heard, that's a tripling of what you will take for the B plan. Families are important, and that's what I'm here to advocate for. It's for families and people. No more, no less. Thank you for your time.
Thank you, Mark.
I just, really quickly, Mark, before you go, Mark, hi. Just because you are in a unique position, although not the only one as a resident and an employee,
Sure.
I want to acknowledge that as an employee, even though all of us know that we were working on it, the employees weren't told that. And so I appreciate that we all knew that we were gonna work on it, we were gonna work hard on it,
Mhm.
that you didn't know that, and so now we have voted to leave things the way they are, and then once open enrollment comes, there will be public discussions about what options will be. And now that has been officially said by us to the
Right.
employees.
I
And
think
I
it's
would
important that
encourage
this
people to
board,
come back.
I apologize. I think it's important that this board knows that the men and women standing before you are very proud to work for the town of Brentwood.
And
They
we
love what they do.
appreciate that very much,
They
absolutely.
love what they do and they love this town.
And I would highly encourage the same passion that we're seeing right now is that when the new budgets come out and we're having discussions, and I'm hoping we get presentations from multiple brokers,
Mhm.
that we get that input of what the employees are going to be looking for.
Yeah, we are watching and waiting. Thank you.
Wardburn, Raw Road, Brentwood. As Mark said, I'd like to advocate for, as a taxpayer. And I'd like to ask each and every employee here, if you were underpaid, would you want your money back? Would you want a raise? I think we know the answer. If you were underpaid, you've been over benefited and you're making a big deal out of it. I sitting back here, all I hear is entitlement. They're trying to do the right thing. We're not even going by the town handbook. We're not even going by the paper it's written on, and they're still doing the right thing. I would suggest that we ease back on the entitlement a little bit. It's a little irritating to see people laugh in the audience at when a selectman says we're trying to do a good job and they laugh at him in a public meeting. This is ridiculous. I appreciate what you're trying to do. I think the problem should be rectified now. I don't think a new employee should get a benefit when you already know you have a problem. I know in many communities, certainly bigger towns, wouldn't do that. You're doing the employees a favor. No, you don't think that, but they are.
If it was the IRS, they would have.
And you
actually
you
collected
can't
them.
intimidate me by looking at me like that. Not one bit. Oh, well, I'm not trying to.
All right, enough.
Everybody's a tough guy around here.
Ward, enough. No.
It's not enough.
Yeah.
The nonsense has
No,
gone on
I
in this
know.
town.
I'm not gonna accept that kind of contention.
Contention, he's the one starting on me.
I know, we're not,
He works for the
I'm
town.
not gonna accept that kind of contention. This is a civil meeting. It's a civil meeting. It's a civil meeting, Ward. Understood. We're gonna keep it civil.
Yeah, okay.
All right.
Anyhow, I think you're doing a good job as a selectman doing this. And the word entitlement, and it really irritates me because I appreciate everyone that works in this town and you folks are trying to figure it out. You got extra benefits that was not written in the handbook. And one question, who set the 2024 rate? Who did this? Nobody's taken any ownership in who made this mistake.
The 2024 rate or the 2020?
Well, wasn't the 2024 rate was what set for the 2025?
Well, I actually don't know what your question is about. If your question is, how did the rate for 2024 get set? The board voted on it on November 14th, 2023, and it was adopted at that time.
So how do we end up in this pickle in the first place?
It sounds like because there was an error when the handbook wasn't updated correctly.
Victim of circumstance, man. I just came back last week, so.
I mean, there's no accountability from the front office here.
I think the idea is,
None of the people that were involved in that are here right now.
Were you on the board?
In 2023, no.
All right,
Andy and Paul were.
okay.
If you want to do
Well-
that, I just don't think it's productive.
I don't think it's productive either, Ward, honestly. At this point, we're more focused on moving forward, not playing the name game and going backwards. We understand where we're at right now. We're trying to figure out how to move forward in the most productive way. And it's not by looking backwards. So we understand where we're at right now, and we're trying to move forward. We're trying to do the right things by the taxpayer and the employees, because we value both very much, and we want to do the right things. That's all we're trying to do.
Excellent.
And I think fortunately, and I'll stress it again, in the budgeting process, they always budget that somebody would be adding somebody, stuff like that. So there's a little bit of a buffer for us to absorb the error that occurred.
And keep in mind that, so Julie has done an unbelievable job working extremely hard. If you can all imagine, there's a lot of work that is involved in figuring this stuff out. This is just a simple example as to where we're at right now, and it's just one example. We're looking at several different ways that we can come up with the difference so that it doesn't impact the town employee much.
I think
We
that-
understand, listen, I myself, I can't speak for anyone else, I've said that before, but I understand if you have a family of, 3 children, a wife and a husband, that's a huge expense, just that alone. And if your health insurance goes up a lot, it's going to impact that family. We don't want to do that. We have to take everything into consideration. It's a very, very, very tough thing that we're in right now, a very tough situation. But we understand the importance of it, and we're working very diligently to come up with fair and equitable plans for everybody.
And I think the whole idea of moving forward and Julie's presentation was to show, an exemplar of how that could move forward with what I think, puts at least under the family scenario at 90%, something that is well within what many municipalities do. In terms of, notifying employees about this, this was something that we began as a discussion at the last select board meeting, and now bringing it forward after, Julie had the opportunity to meet with Health Trust and put some numbers, on the table.
And guys, here's the suck part of it all. I'm just gonna say it. We don't have control over what the insurance rates are. And I don't have control over the mistakes that have happened previously to get us here. So what's happened is you have the insurance rates are here, and we're here. We need to try and figure out how to come up with the difference. It sucks. There's no other way
I just wanna
around
be
it.
clear, I don't think that that's accurate. And I get, because what Bob is saying, it sounds like, is that that's not what's happening. It's more like this is where
Well,
it
because
should
we
We're-
have that buffer.
but it's a lot closer than that.
Right, but we're missing, so we went from we're going from 24 to 26 in essence, okay? We're not going 24, 25, 26. So there's a
Absolutely.
bigger
Delta.
But we don't
discrepancy
know.
that we have to
don't-
figure,
but-
I understand.
So
I know
saying that you
but
know it's going to be big is not helpful because we don't know yet.
I didn't say that it was, I said going from 24 to 26 is a big jump. It's not as small as going from 24, 25, 26.
But Bob
okay?
just said the rates could go down. We have
They
no idea.
could. We
So-
don't know.
So
They could. I
I
I
think.
just want to
talking
let
about
people
this-
understand where we're at and how difficult it is. And we understand, we hear you guys 100%.
And I can tell you just from looking at numbers, because I like numbers and I'm a little warped. You know who I feel bad for? The employees that went with Plan B, didn't get the better plan. Because they're paying more out of their pocket personally than they were with what they're paying for their plans. So they're the ones that took it on the chin. Not the majority of the employees, but there's a handful in there. And they're the ones that took it on the chin because they chose Plan B for cost savings for themselves. And instead of paying $841.79 a month for the family plan, they paid $100.40, but now they have an out-of-pocket more expense. It's math. It's simple math. But nobody's brought that up. That there's a handful of employees that unfortunately chose the ugly and they were paying for it. It's a balancing act, and we still have, we're saying, let's keep it consistent at this point, and let's review what we have, and we'll do addendums to the employee handbook to get it back in line to where it needs to be. Otherwise, everyone's just kind of pitchforks and flames, getting upset about it, and we really don't know where we're coming in at yet. But if I was to look at, like, I feel bad for the employees that went with Plan B. If Plan A was getting better plans, they got hosed. If you're looking for fairness, that's where I'm at.
Can I go sit down?
You can't. You could have sat down earlier.
I'll make it quick and hopefully productive. I hate speaking, but I'm gonna have to.
Your name, please.
Katerina Tennant. I'm an employee. I am not a resident. I live in Exeter. I understand that we need to look at the cost of healthcare, and I understand that we need to do things equitably, and I want to keep the town residents also in mind. I came from private sector as well. I've been on government insurance, so I understand the ups and downs. I'm looking forward to a discussion that hopefully involves at least the heads of the department or some representation from the employees as you guys receive this information and start making these choices. I really appreciate that there are people looking outside of the box. Hopefully that continues. You guys said earlier that it was Jim, but it might have been the town administrator, so hopefully all those avenues are explored, and we can come up with an option that will not cost the town money, hopefully save the town some money, but employees will not have to take the brunt of it.
That's exactly what we're trying to do. Ken.
That's excellent, and I'm looking forward to going to the future.
Mhm.
I do have to clarify one thing that was not heard from the two previous speakers. We are, and the residents are upset at us, and I believe the one before me is not the only one, that we are privileged, overprivileged, and we have underpaid and everything. I implore everybody to take a look at those meeting minutes from that November of '23, along with the chart of how much the three plans were, what the three plans were for the town as well as the employees, how the town handbook lines up with those three plans, and how the top one was dropped, the handbook was not updated. The reason we're here now, and it's so contentious and getting ugly, is because, as we said earlier, this is not ancient history. This is very easily looked up and digested, and yet we received numbers. I watched the BudCom meeting where it was presented that we made a mistake. We made a huge mistake. The only mistake we made is rates from 24 to 25, which is totally understandable.
I did that.
Yeah, and you owned up to it.
I know.
That's
Someone
it.
earlier said we didn't know how that happened. I did it.
That's it. So we are going to have a hike. I expect fully, if nothing else changes, I hope, we come up with even better plans, that I'm going to have to pay not just this year's increase up to going to 26, but also make up what the town had to pay for us. You know what I mean? The jump for me will not be just, let's say, 8% coming up, but the 8% that preceded if we haven't changed. That's the only mistake. But somehow you guys agreed and have not questioned when the budget committee chair presented numbers and the policy, and he did not research which plan got dropped off. And he claims everything was wrong. Karen very clearly explained to the board that you base a plan on, I don't know, it's getting confusing which one's ABC. But at that time, you base it on one plan. If you want the better plan, in previous years, you have to pay extra. If you choose a plan that has a deductible, the town, she literally said the town pays the same premium. Like you paid the same premium for people that choose this plan and the same premium for people that choose the deductible plan because that kind of offsets the, and then your percentages are accurate. 75%. The town contributes 75%. Okay? And then if the other one is up almost, it's 90. It was calculated slightly wrong, but the second plan with the deductible is around 90%. Okay? That's still within, and I know you argued and want to do your own research, that's well within the average of what municipalities pay. You guys can do your own research. It was also stated in that meeting that, Karen, there's letters going around about what towns are choosing and what options, and that it's between 85 and 100, or 95 and 100 for individual, and around 90. I forgot the percentages, I didn't bring my paperwork, but it averages out to 90. So the BODCOM's presentation saying we have to go by the handbook instead of what was actually decided was wrong. And everybody thinks we paid way less. It was designed that way. It was the same in 23 and 24 as it was in the previous years. It couldn't have changed drastically, otherwise we would have seen the changes in the contributions. Please go and see what the rationale for it was, why. I believe that we should say decisions were made, not mistakes were made. I'm sorry. It's unfair to those boards. The boards made decisions in 22, 23, 24, and in 25. Those were decisions. And this board will also be making a decision, but it's not a correction of mistakes. That's what I want to get across. There were decisions made, and you guys will also be making a decision, but you're not going to be collectively fixing mistakes, except for the rates for 25 were set on based on 24. That's the only mistake.
Well,
I just like to point that out as we go forward, because there's a lot of misinformation and exaggeration of how much we have underpaid towards our benefits. It was by design by each board up to this point.
and I'm just going to clarify. Some we were paying 100%, some were paying 93%, some were paying 97%. So we weren't paying the percentage that the town was supposed to pay a certain percent, and the employee was supposed to
Yep.
pay percent. The employees, fortunately, it wasn't reverse. We weren't saying, oops, we underpaid. We're saying we paid more percentage than we should, and we're going to keep that consistent.
You did not pay more.
We did, according to what if you paid the 75%, that would have been consistent, and we're paying 97%. We're not. We're paying
Again,
less.
I don't think we can resolve this here.
Right. that's
If
why
you
we're
take
saying,
those 3 plans that were in existence before we dropped it to 2,
Mhm.
you compare it to how the town administrator and the board explain how and why we choose what the employer contribution is. It's consistent. There was no mistake. It's a deliberate decision of how much the employer contributes to the premiums.
And
There's no
so-
mistake. I'm
Yeah,
sorry.
And I appreciate your view. I mean, we can litigate, all we want on what happened, in the past, including, when I was, one person on the select board, of 5 at that time. So I just don't know that it's productive or worthwhile, because I think what we really need to do is move forward, and that's why I tried to have, Julie put forward, something based on what she looked at. That
I agree. I agree. Let's move forward.
That's what I'm trying to do.
However, I do not appreciate that we keep repeating that we are correcting this huge mistake, and it got really ugly because the residents are misunderstanding this, and saying, you guys are all overpaid and you shouldn't be smirking at all,
Yeah.
which they're not. I'm sorry.
And I understand what you're saying. To me, at the end of the day, we have to move forward. I think that's the only thing we can do.
A plan was dropped. It was very clearly which one was dropped. It happened very recently in 2023. And for the chair of the budget committee to say, I can't find out, I don't know which one, I'm gonna just assume that it was this one and therefore we overpaid. That's what's misleading and that's what's causing the tension here between the residents and the employees.
Understood.
I'm looking forward to working with you, hopefully, and coming up with a plan that works for everybody.
Yeah.
But let's be honest. You talked about transparency and everything. Let's be honest about what was said, what was done, and let's not mislead people. Thank you very much.
Well, I'm hoping we can reset. That's what I'm hoping.
Kat, I just wanted, so just one second, please. So the quick and easy answer to that is we're working hard to make sure that there's as little impact to the employee as possible. That's how we're moving forward.
Yeah. And just to follow on that, I mean, I spent, Julie backed me up on this. I've spent a long time with her trying to present, an exemplar. And I think, every time, we were doing so, it was, how can we, mitigate, this to the employee? I mean, that was always paramount in my mind. And I'm trying to do that working forward, or at least that's my, goal. And, that was the whole point of Julie trying to present, what she did tonight. Yep.
Yeah, John Frizzell, Crawley Falls Road. How y'all doing? Here's the deal. I do agree with you, Ward, that there is entitlement. And the entitlement lies with the fact that this was in the handbook. The handbook didn't change from 24 to 25. The employees are entitled to what the insurance should be. Okay? So yes, you're right. There is an entitlement because they are entitled. They did not know about the difference between 24 and 25 until about a week ago. All right? You have to understand as a board that you have to do what's right. As much as it sucks, do I want to pay more taxes? Absolutely not. But the fact of the matter is you have your firefighters. These people, and I've done it because I worked on that in that fire station. You're getting paid $13 an hour to go to North Road, and you have to go, you're going into the nursing home where you have someone who's urinating themselves on their way to Exeter Hospital, wherever they have to go. So this person then, who's driving maybe the ambulance, who's making $13 an hour, by choice, of course, has to then clean up all the urine within that truck. They're making $13 an hour to do that. Firefighters, you know what the scariest part? Police officers, do y'all know what the scariest part is? When you walk up to a house and there's a domestic disturbance call, that is the most dangerous call you can go to. These people are barely making 50 grand a year. They're lucky to be making $50,000 a year in this town, risking their lives. And we did have an officer who died a couple years ago, all right? For these people right here, and I'm not even talking about the people in town who are at that desk, or we have Wayne right here, who's always there working more hours than he knows to do it during a snowstorm. And now, all of a sudden, we're looking at them saying, hey, we're going to have you pay back this insurance that wasn't your fault, this clerical error, all right? Which we haven't even set forward yet. I understand that none of this has been set yet. Hold on, Jim, okay? These people put everything they have into this town, all right? There has been no decision made yet, and I get that. Hopefully there's a surplus in our budget. But we need, as a select board and as a town, we need to do what's right for our employees.
Actually, we did make a decision, John. when
Oh, you
we
did?
said- Yeah, we said that there would be no,
Oh, all right, no, okay.
that there would be no payback. And
So
and
excellent, at
now
that
we're-
point.
We're going to move
Now,
forward
my other concern
consistently
is,
with new employees.
so let's say we do use the surplus. We have that 4.5% budget gap, budget situation. I'm sorry, what's it called? The tax cap. What happens next year with that? Because ultimately, we're going to have to look at insurance plans. So are we then in this storm all over again next year? So we have to look at that as well. Letty, by the way, we all make mistakes. All right, shit happens. Pardon my language. Shit happens. So you know, it's okay. Like it sucks, but you know,
I just want to make sure that no one can say that we don't know how that happened, because I will say all day long that I'm the one that did it, and everyone that was on the board at the time looked at those numbers, the budget committee looked at the numbers, and nobody else caught it. So.
yeah, you know, and
Letty,
that's
I
what it is.
excuse me one second. I do commend you for that, for owning up to it. That's a big thing, and people need to recognize that for sure.
But I think we have to look at the tax cap, how that's going to affect us next year, especially for all of this. I mean, that has to be put into effect. Please, 100%. Lastly, Jim, you know, to tell everybody in this, include the townspeople and everybody here who works for the town, to thank you guys for being transparent, that's disingenuous. That's almost putting a middle finger up to everybody saying, hey, because we're
No.
transparent, you need to thank us.
Absolutely not what I meant.
Well,
okay?
it came off that
Absolutely
way.
not what I meant.
It came off that way. And to tell you the truth, you know, I'm looking at the people I'm with, and that's the reason why there were snickers. That's the reason I was snickering back there, is because it's being told, hey, you need to be thanking us because we made a mistake, but thank us because we're being transparent. So I'm just putting it out there. That's just the wrong view that I have about that situation. All right? So that being said, you know, let's just do what's right for these people. I don't want to pay higher taxes, but if it comes down to it,
Exactly what we're trying to
it
do.
sucks.
That's what we're trying to do.
John, you've been here before. You know this is a thankless.
Oh, I know. And I was the one who voted to get these people raises into that thing with the whole, and to get the insurance the way it was. All right. So I'm looking at this now saying, what the hell happened between 3 years ago when I was on the board and we had this all planned out to now? I mean, this is a travesty at this point. And you know what? One more thing, and I'm an old man yelling at a cloud. The whole people talking, this whole, I mean, the fact that a newspaper came out there and had quotes from people on the select board, you're supposed to be a team. Why are individuals quoting? We had this problem with John Morgan putting out his own articles. We had to have a discussion with them. So we have that situation where people putting out random quotes to the newspapers. You're supposed to work as a team, not as one individual person. And then the damn social media, it's a dribble on society. It's a dribble on this town. Jesus Christ, stay off it, people. You're leaders. Act like it.
Hey, John, one more question or one more statement. You're not old, man. You said you're old. Come on, you're still younger. You're there.
Let me take a minute to clarify my statement, okay, for everybody. All I'm saying is that we're working very hard, and we're hearing all the negative stuff, but we're not hearing anything about how hard we're working to try and fix this, okay? I'm not asking anyone to thank me, not at all. But it's unfair to constantly be hearing that we're doing the wrong thing when in fact we're trying to do the right thing. That's all I meant.
Hi, Daphne Wass, the town clerk, and I am a resident. If I can just bring the temperature down in here a little bit, and I literally mean the temperature, it's so hot in here. What?
We tried. It won't get below 70.
I think part of the problem is, and I know that I was asked not to speak on this today, but the board has not been acting as a board. And you all know everyone has their own individual kind of things that they're doing, and it's very frustrating. So when you say, you know, we are doing this for you and we're doing it, we don't see that. And as employees, I think also the lack of communication from the board to the employees is frightening, because you're hearing different things from different individuals. So I do realize that this particular meeting has surprisingly been civil, if you want to call it that, which is fantastic. But I think that communicating with the employees and would go so far. It really would go far, so that we would see that you're doing things and looking out for us. And as a resident, I will say, I certainly don't want to pay more taxes. But I've also been told that we don't go after the school, we don't go after the co-op. There's people that are here I've never even seen at a co-op meeting before. Millions and millions of dollars, and I'm told we don't have time. The budget committee doesn't have time to look at those. It's not okay. And every year, as employees, we sit here and we fight for ourselves. And we have to justify our existence in the town, and it's frustrating. So all that I would ask is that the communication is better between the board and the employees. And hopefully going forward, we will all work together and you won't lose any more people. We don't want that either. Certainly not in my office. Nobody better leave in my office.
Well, fortunately, I can say that on the agenda is select board roles and responsibilities. So I think Paul put that together and Letty put that together. So I think we're going to be looking at that. So hopefully the board moves forward a little more cohesively.
And welcome back, Bob.
Thank you.
Thank you, Deb.
Thank you, Daphne. I mean, again, Daphne, I would say that this was a conversation that had started, a week prior and had, Julie, working on it. I mean, at some point, there's only so much that could be said until, a proposal gets put together, which is, why we're here today. I understand that in the interim, a lot of people talk and get onto social media and a lot of rumors starts. But, in the interim, there's only so much that we can do. I mean, we did start the discussion last time, and, I think Julie got on top of it to the best that she could in order to bring, forward, something that we could look at to try to, at least, quell or allay, some of the concerns. Yeah.
Oh, okay.
Yeah,
Sorry.
Jim, Trevor was waiting to get, if we can, yeah, thank you.
Thanks. I'm like, I'm lost.
My name is Trevor. I'm a lieutenant with the fire department. I want to say thank you for letting me speak, first and foremost.
Of course.
What I want to say has to do with the handbook as it is written. The way it is based is, if you look onto your, 2023 layouts or breakdowns, you have 75% off Plan B. That is written verbatim in the handbook. Everything else has nothing to do with percentages of Plan A or Plan C. It's all based off premium. You look at the premium that the town pays, it stays the same or less for the different plans. So it's 75% for two couples for Plan B, 75% family Plan B, and 100% for singles Plan B. Those premium numbers for those categories, when you go to Plan C, those numbers stay the same. The percentage that looks like changes, but the premium itself stays the same. The cost of the town stays the same. So I think when you look at we're having a 90% coverage of this thing, the premium, the out-of-pocket expense is saying that regardless of what plan the employee chooses, the town pays the same. That's all I wanted to offer.
Yeah, but I would offer that, looking at what Julie has put together, if it was Plan B, they eliminated one of the plans, so that's kind of confusing. But there's only so many people that chose Plan B. Plan A was actually benefiting more than Plan B in the percentages. So the people that chose Plan B, unfortunately, took it on the chin more than the people that took Plan A, if you're looking for fair and equitable.
Right. But as I'm trying to kind of empathize with the town.
Yep.
I know you guys don't want to pay an exorbitant amount of taxes. I understand that. I have to pay taxes myself. I understand that.
I hate paying taxes.
But I guess what I was trying to get across is it sounds like this protocol was built so that regardless of what the employee chooses, the cost to the town for benefits for that employee stays the same, is consistent.
Right. Yep.
Yeah.
The plans themselves,
And Julie did indicate that
Right.
at the last meeting. So,
Yeah.
But thank you.
yeah, so I guess I'm just.
We'll try
Yeah.
to straighten it out. I promise we're going to try.
No,
to straighten
thank you.
it out.
I think
something to
that's
think about if
insightful.
You guys are developing a solution.
Yeah.
Thank you.
Appreciate it.
Thank you.
Yes.
Jim Hadger, Chair of the Municipal Budget Committee. Oh, Daphne left. I just wanted to make sure, we have no purview. The Municipal Budget Committee has no purview on the co-op budget. I wish we did, but we have no purview, so that, I don't know why, I can't do anything about the co-op budget. Mr. Chairman, I just thought, and the lieutenant, I think, just brought it up kind of clearly, that no one had mentioned what the actual handbook states. I do know this. You and I discussed it at the meeting. The finance director was there, claimed that this handbook had been around for quite some time. And it does state the town provides full-time employees with health insurance. The town will offer 3 insurance plans, A, B, C. The town pays 100% of the premium for single coverage for full-time employees and pays 75% of the premium for 2-person family plans with eligible dependents for Plan Option B. And it's underlined, Plan Option B. Employees may elect the plan option they want to enroll in. Employees electing option A will be responsible for paying the additional premium, and it says difference between plan option A and B to maintain that coverage option. And employees electing option C will be responsible for the balance of the premium due, difference between the plan option B and C plus any deductible. So again, the previous speaker is absolutely right. The only time the percentages have any impact, the 100, 75, 75, is on plan B. Now, I don't know where this confusion is coming in. There definitely was an error. And this all goes back to A, B, and C means we call it platinum, gold, silver, 3 plans. Usually your top is platinum, then you have gold, you have silver. It is true that I believe in 2023, Health Trust stopped offering a really a top-end PPO plan, I believe it was at the time. But at that time, it's always been, and I think the handbook actually was written very well. If you wrote it, it was a really good job, because you don't want to have to change this handbook every year based on if there's changes to Health Trust. The goal, it's obvious to anyone who reads this and just looks at it outside of the Brentwood environment or the environment that we're in right now because of this error that was found. It's obvious that A, B, and C, A was the best plan that Health Trust offered, B would be the next plan under that, and C was the next one under that. So yeah, in 2023 or prior, I'm not sure. It would have been the PPO Platinum, 0 deductible AB 20, or 0 deductible would have been the B, and C would have been the $1,000 deductible. But that changed in 2023, like they're trying to tell you. Yeah, it went, now the top plan is just what they have now, the same thing. They have 0 deductible, they have $1,000 deductible, then they have a $3,000 and a $5,000 deductible. To me, it's obvious the mistake was that the board was never told that the plans now, the platinum, gold, and silver plans that are offered by Health Trust, that is our insurance, well, they're our self-insured provider, you know, but so those plans changed. The whole goal and the whole way this is written, and it makes sense. And part of the reason why I picked up on this error, I did not go down the path of finding this mistake, did not. It was all about seeing if there was a way we could help the employees in the town get similar or better coverage at better costs. And when Health Trust looked at what we were doing, he clearly told myself, the town administrator, and the other member of the sub-team, we don't get into this, what percentages you do, the 75, 25, the 100. We don't do that. That's up to you. But he said, I do think you should look at your incentive. Your incentives are kind of messy here. You seem to be doing your incentives, giving the ratios on the top plan, and then you're taking those amounts and applying them to the this lower plan, the $1,000 deductible plan. That doesn't seem to be a proper incentive. Usually incentives are, you give them, he kind of said, the middle plan. And then, yeah, if the employee wants the top plan, they're responsible for the difference, just like that's what he said. And if they want to go with a deductible plan, yeah, we apply that same amount to, they're responsible for the difference. So I don't know where this is coming in, that there wasn't an error made. There definitely was an error made. We didn't offer them the 3 top plans that Health Trust offered. We only offered the top 2 plans, and we based the contributions, town and employee, on the top plan, not the middle plan, per the policy that the town has. So that's when this whole task of looking at, are there better ways of doing it? Are there, which we didn't stop. We went, and it's all written, and I think, Mr. Chairman, and you've said this, I think you need to get to the point where we talk to the employees, and Andrew at Health Trust, and I shared this, he wants to come and talk to us and the employees directly about how these plans work and how we can help them if they're going to go save themselves some money by going to a deductible plan, how we can help them with the costs of those deductibles through an FSA or an HRA. And with them, we can pay up to half of it. And I documented all of this. But the fact that they're saying that there was something missed, I'm sorry, I went back through 3 years of meeting minutes myself and looked to see. Now, I didn't get a copy of what they're looking at. I personally have the meeting minutes from November. If it's November 14th, 2023, I don't need it. I have it because I had already shared it with, I believe.
It's highlighted.
Thank you. Yeah, I have this. And I had already shared this with the chair. He knew this. I actually mentioned this at the budget committee meeting. I mentioned this exact fact.
Can you just say that again? Because I want to make.
What's that?
You sent those minutes to who?
I did not send these to anybody.
You said you just said.
I brought this up at our meeting. I brought this up. I read part of this. If you look at the meeting minutes, if you look at the video of our budget committee meeting, I pointed out that in November, on November 14th of 2023, I stated that then Select Board member Kleinman asked about these plans. But I don't see anything here that talks about that the town was making the decision or voted to change from offering the Plan B that the percentages were based on to Plan A. It doesn't say that. In fact, what it does say is that, excuse me, and like I said, I already read this into the record, that Kleinman asked what the town currently contributes toward healthcare premiums. Kleinman responded that the town covers 100% of the premiums for single, 75% of the premiums for 2-person family plans. She added the pricing for making the ABS 2040, which in parentheses says lower premium but carries a deductible. That is currently the plan, what I would call Plan B. It's the $1,000 deductible plan. She said making that the town's preferred plan, making that B would be $595,000, which is higher than the recommended plan she is proposing. And I stated this, and I'll state it again, that is financially impossible, and it's just budgetarily impossible to have a zero deductible plan be cheaper than a $1,000 deductible plan. It wasn't in the 2024 rates, it wasn't in the 2025 rates, and I can assure you it won't be in the 2026 rates. It makes no sense. You don't get zero deductible insurance cheaper, either for single family or couple, cheaper than a $1,000 deductible plan. It's just not right. So I don't know why she told you, and Mr. Chairman, I stated it on the record that evening. I don't know why she gave you that answer, and I won't comment on why.
It was a BudCom meeting.
No, this at my budget committee meeting, I read this, but this was at a select board meeting, November 14th of 2023.
Now, when did the budget committee meet?
Last Monday, 2 Mondays ago?
2 Mondays
2
ago.
Mondays ago? Okay.
I don't know.
So
Time.
I don't know, and again, I'm willing to talk to anybody on this. I don't know where they're saying that there wasn't an error made. There clearly was an error made. And never at any time, in fact, I was very vocal about this at the budget committee meeting, and I've written about it as well. This was not the employee's fault. Never was the employee's fault. They would not have even have known this was happening because, Mr. Chairman, I know when I do my insurance, when I was working, even now that I'm retired, I do the same thing. I have an insurance broker. I have to buy my own insurance. You look at, here are the plans, here are the costs. You've said it. What can I afford? Thank God, I'm pretty healthy. My wife's healthy. The deductibles don't scare me that much, right? So, but it's a decision every person has to make on their own. And at no point did these employees know that this was wrong. They were given options. They were given costs. You're saying, why did they pick one versus the other? Well, I mean, it's because they saw the price and they saw the product that was offered. They made the right decision for their situation, health-wise and financially, right?
And again, not to relitigate, what happened in the past, but
Yep.
the November 14th, 2023 minutes, I'll just read it in the record. It says Artemovich motioned, seconded by Kelly, to stay with the preferred status quo health plan. All were in favor.
All I'm saying, Mr. Chairman, it was done incorrectly. It was not per the policy. You asked a question. She did not give you an accurate answer. So, and what you voted on then, it doesn't bind anyways. It really doesn't.
No, and my whole point is, we don't want to relitigate this. We want to move forward.
I've never wanted,
That was the whole point of having Julie make the presentation that she did.
but I am hearing people come to this microphone insinuating that I am saying something that is not true. And that's just not right. I don't believe that's right. I believe I am reading this policy exactly the way it was written, the intent that it was written. I stand by my words that a mistake was made, not the employees did not know. I agree. I'm glad you voted not to do anything this year because that would not, whether it was legal or not, I would think that would be totally unfair because they made decisions based on the prices that we gave them and they were wrong. So now to say that, oh, sorry, we made a mistake. I mean, it's not the same as, I've told some of you the story. When I retired, they messed up my retirement calculation. And 9 months later, I get a letter saying, you owe us $57,000. Well, yeah, I had to give them the money back. But I mean, this is so different. It's not like that. It's not even the same as a person, we made a mistake and their raise didn't show up properly in the system. Of course, we pay them back. This is not that.
I think we need to move forward.
Well, I just want to make sure that if somebody tries to say that a mistake was not made, that this is correct, they are the ones who are not reading the policy correctly. I think the policy is very clear, and I think the way you need to go forward with this, just set the contributions based on the policy and the plans, see where they show up, what it looks like, because people will maybe make choices, but at that time, get Andrew to come in here and talk to the employees about, hey, there might be better ways to do this that'll save you money. Because if it's going to save them money, we can assure,
Planning on having.
we can assure that it'll save the town money. And also, you already have the person's name that was working with this on Andrea. So we go, and if you want to get a second approach, because I've heard that he said we could get it cheaper going direct rather than being self-insured. Again, Mr. Chairman, thank you for letting me speak. And again, one other thing I'll add is that the Budget Committee actually owns the appropriation line for health insurance, not the Select Board. So whatever we decide, we should decide together. Thank you.
Okay,
Yep, you're welcome.
thank you.
Again, and again, and it's okay. But again, I'm repeating myself. We could beat each other up, all evening over, what happened in the past. And I think we really need to move forward. And I know that's where people want to go, but.
I would be very happy to meet with the chairman and explain my point of view that I was trying to make to you guys.
I got it. I got your point.
Which is the boards made decisions, not mistakes. The residents and taxpayers might not like to hear this, but all the boards up to this point voted to give their employees good benefits that are compatible with other towns. It is in those same minutes, it's been stated more than twice or 3 times that we should stay near that 90%. So there's no mistake. What the town administrator was communicating is that if you pay 70%, 75% of one plan, you pay the same amount for the other plan. I'm so nervous, I didn't even know where I was going.
No, don't be nervous. It's okay. It's all right.
The reason she said you could not just move to the $1,000 deductible plan, and that it wouldn't be cheaper.
I think
He said it's statistically impossible. It's because she wasn't going to make the employees pay the deductible.
Yeah, I
She
think
was going to make it equitable by paying the higher premium instead of the deductible.
And you may be referring to the line in the minutes, and again, I'll read it into the
So
record.
I just want to reiterate again, no, there's no mistake, and I would be happy to go over that with him, but it was deliberate that we keep it at the 90% and not make it that much worse. That's all.
Thank you. Understand your view.
All right, end of discussion on benefits. Move forward.
Okay. Roles and responsibilities. I know there is a rec board meeting tomorrow at 6:30. Thank you, Bob. So we need a liaison to the rec board. I think we also need a liaison to the school board as well.
Okay.
So I don't know if there are other roles and responsibilities that people want to discuss or move around or transition. I mean, I'm presently going to planning board and conservation. I would want to continue to do that just to be consistent, but I'm open to whatever people want to do.
I think if Bob's available, it would just be easier for him to step into the two open roles.
It's fine.
Okay. Thank you,
Wow.
Bob.
That was easy.
If there's a button for that. That was easy.
Okay.
Good night.
Thanks, guys.
Thank you, guys.
Do we have
Yeah,
to
good
officially
night.
appoint you or just that?
I don't think he's a voting member on either board, so.
No, rec doesn't have a voting position, do
No.
they?
I don't know.
Thank you, Katerina.
And school board definitely doesn't have.
Yeah, yeah. School board, you just sit there and shake your head.
Okay. Were there any other roles or responsibilities, or do we want to move on from there?
Should we discuss the? I will say that I learned very clearly over the last couple of days that I think that it would be best for the board not to speak individually, but as a whole, as a unified board, and everything go through the through the chair, right? So
Historically, all communication typically would come from the chair. And if somebody's getting reached out to by the media, typically, historically, from my experience, and we would defer that to the chair to let them be the spokesperson for the board, and I would just offer no comment, but that's me.
So I did look at the operations manual on that, and the chair is supposed to be the voice of the board, so I would appreciate, that in terms of funneling. And I think I did indicate that I had no comment and I wanted to speak, with my board, and so that's what I'm doing. I also felt that the public, statement that I made to start this meeting was, really what I would have, said in any event. Having said that, I also read the operation manual to say that individual board members, are free to, state their opinion and to make statements as long as they, choose their words carefully. I think there's words to that effect as well, so I don't, want to be, shutting that down either. But I am appreciative of, the notion of, at least in the first instance, funneling that, through to the chair, which I do think is appropriate.
And the same note that we have to, I think is there still a social media portion of our handbook?
There's a portion of the employee handbook, but not, I don't
Okay.
believe there's a,
We should have a social media
Guidelines?
guidelines, absolutely.
And it should be consistent with whatever the employee handbook is. We should be consistent with that
Mhm.
because we are technically employees, I guess. And then the other thing, and this is just one of my pet peeves, is never hit reply all. It can all go through Paul. Because when you hit reply all, you essentially are having a non-public meeting or a meeting with a quorum because you basically just included everybody. And
The
that
o-
has to be a posted public meeting.
I agree. And the only time I do that, Bob, is, for scheduling only, like this evening.
You can do it,
I-
but
I
we have
made
to
a
reply
reminder.
only to you.
Okay, I made a reminder that we were going to
Mhm.
be meeting earlier, and that's the only time that I would do that. I understand that people have their own views about social media. I think it's pretty, clear to folks at home and in the audience that my view on it is I try not to go on it.
It can be venomous.
Or if I say go on it, at least, to be part of the fray in terms of posting. I'll be honest and say I go on it to look because I want to hear and see what people are saying, but I try not to.
I'm usually posting just my dog with his doggles, but that's me.
We know, Bob. We
Yeah.
know.
I post a lot of pictures.
I
of the
mean,
dog.
obviously I may go on it to like something that a family member,
Yeah, true.
but in terms of, the fray that's going on, I really try to stay out of that fray on social media. But again, I can't control what people do. And everyone has, I know a different, feeling and thought about that.
Good deal.
Okay. I think then we're on to, old business
Job descriptions.
job descriptions.
Okay, and I had Jillian print for the board. I went to, what's the name of that? MIR?
MRI.
MRI? That's right, it's like a medical thing. I like the fact that on their page, they have job descriptions that we can look at and utilize, probably wordsmith and make it more similar to what our needs are for our town. But I think it's a great step-off point that we can have the department heads put together their job descriptions and their duties and responsibilities, and also try to come up with a demographic of our town worded very similar to how they wordsmith theirs. We can probably wordsmith and do something instead of reinventing the wheel. I think it would be a good guide for us to utilize. And they have town administration, they have fire, they have police, they have all these different positions that we can look at and say, what do we have similar, and try to utilize similar processes.
Yeah, and I
They're out
don't-
there for the public, so.
And I don't disagree. I think one of the big things, though, we do need to figure out and decide, because we need to move forward, I think, with, have a good night, Ward. We need to move forward with the beginning of interview applicants for the town administrator's position. And I think, and I think Letty has mentioned this, we need to decide what that position is going to entail, because that position in the past, looks differently than, what it might look like today, because, we have a superstar as our finance manager. I know I'm building you up too high, sorry.
And now
But
she's gonna want a $70 million raise.
But, we have a lot of, financial, that is covered by Julie. That's not to mean that a town administrator shouldn't have some, overriding supervisory responsibility of financial, but in terms of the day-to-day operations, I think that does fall within the finance director. So it does make, the position for town administrator something different than, what it has been in the past. And I think we have to, acknowledge that in moving forward with, interviewing town administrators.
Have we looked at doing like some of those companies that come in and just do HR stuff for the town? Because that seems to be where we're lacking, right? Is the HR aspect of it right now? That was a huge, big portion of the town administration job
Right.
previously, right?
Currently, that is definitely a red flag, but there's other stuff that the town administrator does, I think. Typically, the town administrator would act as a translator, if you will, between looking at budgets and the people on this board who might not know. I think historically, the board would say, hey, town administrator, we would like to spend this money. Do we have a place to spend it from? And they'd say yes. So I guess the question is that something that we're now expecting Julie to do for us? Or is, because I think you said, there's still,
Avoid.
well, the town administrator is still gonna have to know, what budgets look like and how to look at numbers. So I don't think we can take all of the finance stuff, and then there's
No,
also the
I
report.
think there should be at
and-
least 15% of whatever Julie does is minimally what I would expect a town admin to basically become familiar with it. No offense.
15 or 50?
15.
Okay.
No matter what happens, not to say, I think we're probably similar age-wise. Everything has life expectancy, including me, right? So at some point, Julie's going to want to transition back out to retirement. And we need to create that bench. And I think if you have somebody that's coming in and they're going to do 15% and potentially if you take a vacation, they need to be able to fill that in for at least 60 to 70% of that position in the time that you're out of the office. Or one of the things I use at work all the time with creating a bench is if I go outside and get hit by a truck, somebody needs to be able to step in that position. And that's the benefit of creating a bench. Whoever fills that position needs to work closely with Julie in order to be aware of what she does versus shell-shocked when the truck hits.
True.
So, Bob, I kind of think the one you printed out for Norfolk, Mass is
Oh, it's huge.
pretty, well,
Yeah.
the job responsibilities are pretty much spot on, minus the fact it doesn't have HR director in there.
Right.
But, I mean, part of that
pretty
says
consistent.
the town administrator develops an annual operating and capital budgets in conjunction with the finance director, reviews, analyzes, and recommends budgets to the select board. So that does have some financial policy portion of it. But it pretty much sums up the general job description perfectly, minus the fact that there's nothing about HR in there.
Sorry, did you see what the starting salary range
did.
was on
Yeah,
that
but you
one?
look-
But they also have 150 employees.
Yeah, and their operating budget is insane.
Absolutely, but I'm pretty sure that that stuff doesn't just scale up based on operating budget and employees.
Yes, because you're dealing with a much bigger operation.
I mean, if Julie was doing a budget that was.
I guess what I'm
as big
saying
as
is,
this, she would
because our
probably wanna
budget
run.
is some scale smaller than that, we can't just take that number and cut it by the same percentage.
No, I'm talking about the responsibilities, not the number.
Got you,
I thought it was a pretty good outline when I looked at it. I was actually pretty impressed with looking at their outlines that they had. I was like, wow, why reinvent the wheel? Right? I can tweak it to make it fit our, benefit of having an attorney that's a wordsmith. No offense, but that's what I pay attorneys to, is to wordsmith, and then I pirate it from them, so.
You're on record saying that.
They know it. They ghostwrite for me.
So, yeah, we need to move the ball forward on starting, these, interviews. And, we have a handful of applications. We may have, one or two more that will come in. But we need to, move the ball forward, I think, in terms of, having a job description and, I don't know if we just want to lift, from this. I mean, do you want to take responsibility and add in the HR component, and then we can
I can
just
look that
circulate
up.
it and,
Yeah.
maybe each one of us agree without, it being sent around to,
Oh, we can
all of
talk
us?
about it next meeting. Anybody wants to wordsmith their own and
Okay.
Was there a problem with the one that we had in front of us last time?
I just didn't, I looked at it and I felt,
There were two in front of us.
I know.
there was two of them in front
The
of
one
us.
without the finance
And
responsibility.
I just felt that they warranted better descriptions, more clarity, and I felt they were a little elementary. That's my critique.
I think my only thing I want to be cautious of is that the longer of those two job descriptions, to my understanding, were a list of all of the things that the previous town administrators had done prior to there being a finance person.
Mhm.
So I want to make sure that we are capturing all of those tasks in one of the job descriptions, even if it's not the TA, it's in finance, it's in the finance assistant, it's somewhere, so that it's somebody's job to do everything.
And-
Everything is covered by somebody.
And you also have to have a disclaimer at the end of it.
Yes.
That these descriptions are subject to change and modification as warranted, blah, 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 blah. You know more legalese stuff than I do, but I usually like to see those little
other duties as needed.
as needed, as warranted, however you want to word it, but that needs to be in any of these job descriptions because things change.
True.
Like what, the prior town administrator did the financing and the HR and all the other stuff. So now we've kind of separated those duties. How do we carve that up? There could be a percentage that has to be related to finance. We need to include that in there. There could be a percentage that has to deal with HR. We need to include that in there. And then saying these could change over time. I want somebody that's flexible and understands that things are going to change. And then the other thing we need to do is probably really starting to schedule some of those interviews and getting some of those feedbacks and really having those conversations with the people that are interested in coming in and stepping into those roles. And how do we move forward? Timely, efficiently, and keeping us on budget. And answering their phones. No offense. It's Wayne. I know it's you.
Well, do we need to have this completed in terms of,
To move forward with
Yeah,
the
move
initial
forward with-
interviews? I don't think so.
They're just,
Checking their cars. I don't think you need to have the description finalized at this point. I think once you start doing the interviews and then when you choose the right candidate, you say, I want you to agree that you're familiar with these roles and responsibilities within that current position, and I need you to sign it. And then you have whoever did the board interview, they're signing it, and whoever's doing the processing for the HR, they sign it. Now I have 3 people on there. Now it's not questionable, and it needs to be either scanned and saved into a digital file, or it needs to be put on file where we can go back and find it,
yeah, no, I think
not
that's a
be
great
shredded
idea.
some other time
That's
that
a
I
great
can't
idea.
find those things. Consistency. I just want to make sure everything's consistent.
I think the only thing we have to nail down before we start interviewing people is how much we're gonna pay this person.
Well, it really depends on, I think, there's a lot of variables that go into when you're interviewing somebody on what's their qualifications, what do they bring into the table, and what does that
We'll
petition.
have a range.
Right, so like, if I hire somebody that's just doing HR,
Right, but
Maybe
we
I'm
need
not
to know
looking-
that range, especially because tax cap, right? Like, it isn't actually just whatever we want it to.
well, then that's where we have to really work with the budget committee, see what we have in there, and make sure that we're in alignment. I'm a firm believer that one of the things that you usually do when you start the budgeting process is you say, I want you to come in realistically. I don't want you coming to pie in the sky. If we know we have a 4.5% cap, why am I seeing people submitting budgets for 9.5? or
Because they
12?
were not given any instruction.
Well, here's some instructions. You're limited to 4.5. I love the fact that Janice.
Actually.
So, but-
4%. I
but I
love the
think that's
fact that
something that the-
Janice came in at, you came in 2.3% under, which is her budget that she's submitting to. That's awesome.
But you can say that, and like anyone can say that, but if the board has to decide and give department heads guidance on that.
You have 4%. You come in here with anything over 9%, personally, I'm gonna say, that's cute. Here's your budget back. Please go back, sharpen your pencil, and come back
We're
and see
gonna
me.
start that process,
Yeah.
next
Right,
week.
but that's
let's
your-
Get back to the
so
town,
that's-
town administrator
okay.
and,
Yeah,
so,
because we have to consider that, because now we're required, right? To leave it at 4%?
No, we are not. The budget committee is required to present 4%.
Okay. What did we, well, typically, we want to be consistent with the budget.
That is
committees.
sometimes what happens, but not always. And we don't know as a board what we're gonna do because we haven't talked about it.
Do warrants go into that?
Yep.
No. So warrants are part of the 4% too?
Yep.
Okay. Bless you.
And it's not a, I believe it's not a 4% budget increase, it's a 4% tax.
It is a budget. It's
based on
actually
budget.
more complicated than that. It's not even the budget, it's budget minus revenues.
Oh. But we don't know what the revenues are going to be.
Correct.
How do you come to that?
You just have to,
You got a pie in the
there's
sky,
a,
huh?
well, there's a form that the town fills out with the estimated revenues.
And I know last year, one of the things floated was the revenue, they anticipated like 10%, but historically, it's only been at like 5 or 5.09, and so there was some massaging of those numbers, and I get that. But hopefully, we can come in line with that.
in terms of moving forward with, TA, interviews, can we, I'm willing to, do that. Is there anyone who's willing to do that with me?
I'm willing to do interviews. I have a lot of experience doing interviews, good and bad.
All right. Well, then you and I will be on a subcommittee, if everyone is okay with that, to at least pick the, applicants that we have and who we want to interview, and then present those to the
Oh, wait,
board.
you're gonna sorry. Are you saying create the subcommittee to do the interviews, or you're gonna pick the people that you wanna interview?
You start the initial interview process. I think anybody that applies, as long as we feel they have similar qualifications and
Right.
and that we would basically think there's a benefit to the town or is a potential candidate, that is a reasonable potential candidate. I don't want somebody, that doesn't have, never done anything like that.
Yeah.
We're looking for some experience. So if somebody submits an application and they're, just to pick something, a dog walker, they're not gonna fit the qualifications that
Mhm.
we need. So therefore, we can say, well, we're gonna put them in this pile. This is the pile that I wanna move forward with.
Right.
We set up those initial interviews. I would say it's not beneficial to have all 5 of us in a room. Maybe we move forward.
I'm talking about the initial part, because I think at this point, we've all seen all of the applications.
Yeah.
I have thoughts
I
about
have.
which ones are not worth maybe pursuing, or
Yeah.
which ones I think we should be going forward with.
Yeah,
So
and I
that's the
think
part I didn't know.
If as a board, everyone believes that these are the ones that move forward and these are the ones that don't, that's pretty simple for me.
Mhm.
Okay, let's go interview these, and then we see where we go through that first interview, and then maybe we come back to the board, we have a discussion and say, this is what we're seeing.
Mhm.
Again, I get back to the good, the bad, the ugly. What do we want to do? And then it always comes down to me too, of how much is it going to cost for these people to do that position?
So
What are they
yes.
seeking? That's one of the questions during an interview. What do you think this pay is? What do you think would be reasonable for this position?
I think that's why it's especially important that we as a board decide that ahead of time, because if they're looking at what the last town administrator was paid, that's,
The duties have changed.
yep, and I think we gotta get
It's
out
different
there
pay
with it.
scale at this point. And that's why I think, what are they bringing to the table? And what can we afford, and what do we believe we should be paying for that position? But ultimately, until I start having to talk with those people that are doing those positions, I don't know what the range is. I can tell you, if you hire me doing what I do, my range is different than hiring somebody that's might even been doing it for a couple of years.
Mhm.
So, and if I hire hire Jim, he's gonna charge me twice as much.
So if we have agreement that you and I could be on a subcommittee, I mean, obviously, if any, board member, has a feel about a certain applicant or candidate that they want to, have us review, interview, I'm perfectly fine with that.
And I encourage if somebody on the board wants to participate in it, that maybe they let us know and we say, if you're that passionate about it, I'm willing to step aside, let you sit on it, or vice versa.
Question, is it a quorum if a board member's sitting quietly just listening
Yes.
to whatever you say?
Yeah, but there's three, you have a quorum,
Even if I'm not doing anything?
still a meeting. You're there.
But
It
don't we have
depends
to
if a
talk to each
decision
other?
can be made.
Yeah, we can't make a decision at that point. Because if we agree.
Because I wouldn't necessarily feel strongly about asking the questions.
You
or-
can't really have in an interview somebody sitting in the back corner stalking the interview.
I mean,
It's just weird.
You can have them taking, you can have them taking notes, I guess.
I'm okay with, I feel confident with the chair and Bob running the interviews. I'm okay with that. I think that, that's sufficient for me. I will look over the applicants and I will voice my opinion if I see something.
Please, yep, and same with you, Letty.
is that something we would do?
Prior to us calling them to set up.
Like, could we do that in non-public tonight?
We can, if you want to have that discussion, we can. Yeah, because we're talking about personnel, so yes, we'd be non-public.
And we will have non-public tonight.
And just a suggestion, what we've started doing at work is recording the oral interviews on an iPad, and then the chief can watch it or whatever. So it's not like the weird person sitting in the corner just observing, but,
There is a
once-
camera
once-
right there. so I
once
can
they
sit.
once you have permission from
Camera
the
right there.
person, you can, and that way, if a board member wanted to watch the interview, they could afterwards without.
Oh, yeah, that would
You
actually.
handle the technology on that?
Just show me how to work it.
I mean, you could just
I'll
use a
turn my
phone. It
phone
sounds
on
like you
and
just use
record
it.
it if
Yeah,
you
yeah,
want.
yeah.
I'll put it up on that little thing and record the fisheye lens.
All right,
Um,
let's keep going forward.
Yeah, that works for me.
Okay.
I
Was-
am traveling Monday and should be back and available Tuesday by afternoon. I'll be in Boston. I have the leadership.
What was the closing date on the posting?
It's only when the closing day, I think it's coming up.
So we can start the interview process now, and if somebody submits later on, we can always bring them back in, because we're not gonna make a determination probably until.
And I wonder if
after
we
the
could
first.
let some people know if we feel like they're not a fit. Or do you usually wait until the end? I don't know.
Typically, once somebody submits a resume, it should be acknowledged. We received your resume, we're gonna be starting the interview process. Thank you very much for
Has that-
applying, we'll get back to you. Have we been doing that?
I don't think we've been doing that.
No, that hasn't happened, but I think it's
We haven't acknowledged it?
No.
Because then the problem is then they keep searching.
Yep.
And you lose maybe, so now you reach out to them and you're like, well.
It
they're
hasn't
not
been that
available.
long though, Bob.
How long's it been?
Maybe a week or two.
Okay. So we should be acknowledging.
Yeah, I agree.
Thank you very much for your interest in this position.
Well, now that we've had this discussion, I think, I'll go ahead and acknowledge, and if you could let me know.
Yeah.
We'll figure out who we want to interview, and including whatever else.
Yeah.
People let us know.
Okay.
So,
Perfect.
yep, okay.
What do we have next?
7 days.
Seven
All
what?
right.
7 days.
7 days?
It's open for another 7 days.
Okay, perfect.
All right, any other discussion on those points?
Was the,
Yes, Wayne?
Oh, God, you're hurting and you just got up.
What I wanted to bring up, everybody knows that we're hot topping. We hot topped
South Road?
South Road.
Yep.
South Road was a little bit more than what we expected it was gonna be. Okay, so John Bell went back and tried to figure it up of what we had left over down the Pine Road. And it's gonna be a little more than what we had. So he come back and asked me, what what we should do. I said, well, I only have $350,000 to do this road, and I said, and I'm hoping to get all the hot topping that we gotta do and the shoulders in there. He said, okay, so that's what he, and it was the cost extra that he measured up was gonna be 25 to 30,000. I said, well, I don't have the money in my budget, and I'd rather do it. He did offer to us that he would finish it, and then we could pay for it next year. And I said, no, I don't want to do that. I said, I'd rather not do that. I said, because then if it gets, I have to go to town meeting, gets voted out, then we owe you. And I said, I'd rather not do that. I'd rather come back and to finish that top. He overlaid it all the way to the end. So it's gonna really look okay, and he's putting the top on, and he's only gonna stop wherever it's gonna stop down there. And they're almost down to Seacoast Mills right now, so it's really not a whole lot more down to the town line. But it's gonna look okay.
Good.
Everything's gonna look okay, and we can just go down there next year and just finish the top from there.
So he can taper it in.
He's gonna tape it in and just pull it up and then take it down there next year with what,
Want me to make that call like I did last?
with what money we have, so
Thank you, Wayne.
just, you know,
Appreciate it.
okay.
Thank you, Wayne.
Appreciate it.
Take a letter or something.
I did. He has $514,000 left, $514,000 left in his budget. So I was just curious, when he says he doesn't have the money, what that actually means.
He doesn't have it in the warrant article.
There
The
isn't a
warrant
warrant
article
article.
is-
No.
Oh, you guys removed it?
Oh, yeah, that's right, we removed it. He
It's in
doesn't
the-
have it in his paving line.
I would love to get a breakdown of that because he's got $377,000 left in his paving line right now.
But Bell and Flynn hasn't billed us for the work they just did.
Yes, but I would love to see what those numbers are to confirm that, because there's tens of thousands, if not another $100,000 in other lines in his
Go
budget.
ahead, Wayne.
I'll answer that for you.
Okay.
Can you come up to the mic, Wayne? I'm sorry.
Just for the recording.
You can stand at the other one.
I'll make the noise for you.
Okay. Okay, it's 350,000. Hopefully he's gonna stop right there. After that, in my road construction, I have 27,000 still left. I didn't wanna use that money up because if I get anything from now until January, until we go on a new budget, it's gonna cost you that much. And if something comes up, especially I got a lot of trees, I got trees that I gotta pay for. I had to have two full-time police officers down there to work Pine Road. That's gonna be a good-sized bill right there for what they make an hour. And I'm gonna be able to use that money. I wanna fall back on that money because I have no place, I don't know, unless you guys got money somewhere you can pass out. I didn't wanna take that chance.
I'm not suggesting we pass out money. I'm just saying, because that line looks really healthy right now, if you can break it down to South Road cost this many dollars, Pine Road cost this many dollars, even though we haven't got a bill for it yet, so that we know.
Oh, he'll break that down. He'll
You're right now saying 350,000.
350,000 is coming out of that.
27,000.
And when he gives us a bill, he'll break that all down for us. So what everything costs, so.
Okay, thank you, Wayne.
Thank you.
Were we done with job descriptions or?
I think so.
Okay,
Yeah.
all right, good. Committee updates?
John Bell is paving right now.
You don't say.
That's my committee updates.
Okay.
I have nothing.
Yep.
Nothing, I'm not on anything yet. Now I am.
Careful what you wish for.
Oh, I know. My phone's been going crazy.
Rec tomorrow.
Yep.
Mm.
Planning, we did go to that Gasset meeting, which, you know, it sounds like the project that isn't going to get on the 10-year plan for the roundabout. And then at planning, it's a blur at the moment. Do you have anything? No, it was pretty. Yeah. Yeah. Yep. Work session on that.
So so the state right now is at 2035?
Say it again?
They're 10 years out, 2035?
Yeah. But we're not on that.
We're not even on that 2030. So what are you on, 15 year, 20 year? We don't know.
We're on nothing at the moment.
Oh, we're non-existent. But they removed it.
They removed it, and they're just dealing with exits and roads.
Yeah.
Because that's all they have.
Maintenance and upkeep. Yeah.
Okay.
Yep.
Yeah, that's why they're sending a lot of money to that, and they're suggesting that we increase the tolls from 125, which they have not signed off. Not 125.
No. There's no tolls on 125.
I was about to say.
I know.
Oh,
We
my
get a
God.
portion of it?
Good. The Michelle toll booth?
Yeah.
I was gonna say.
My hand out the window.
Now we get residuals.
Pretty good location for it.
I want royalties.
Thank you, Mr. Finnick.
Got me all excited for a second.
Yeah. So I guess it's not on the agenda, but we got all the budgets, and so I was wondering if we as a board wanted to decide how we're gonna move forward. We can put a pause on that until next week, though. About budget committee, because we have a tax cap and we're gonna look maybe a little more closely than we have in the past, I was wondering if we as a board could get some sort of really simplified version of what people's rates of pay were and what they're asking for now, and just breakdowns of how those various salary lines are built, because I think we need to know what's going on.
What was your salary this year? What's your projection of your salary? I think that would be beneficial. I did reach out to Jim, and I know he reached out to Julie, because I'd love to get a state of the budget so I can have an understanding of where it stands at today's number.
I'd be happy to sit down with you about what you have in front of you and tell you what
I can tell you from my experience
think is
handling the
going on.
budget, I did the one-eyed squint as I started looking through this, because I was starting to get a little upset from what I used to do. So I was like, I want you guys to give me a holistic overall view, because this is
So
night and
Julie
day from what it used
is
to be.
awesome, but she's been here for not quite 2 weeks, 3 weeks. Is this your? Okay.
She's got twice as much time as I do.
Nope, Mr. I've been on all the boards for 19 years.
Well, she's worked for the town before previously too, though.
A gazillion years ago, and
No,
like.
she's only 39. It's
Oh,
not.
sorry. So sorry. She worked here as an infant.
I think we all have.
Yeah, you do.
I had brown hair when I got elected.
I was gonna say last week I had black hair. Look at me now. But yeah, I would love to get that, and I know that was one thing that Jim was gonna sit with Julie, and they were gonna kind of give this board a state of the budget. I would love to see where they were last year on their pay scale. Like, so if I paid somebody, just easy numbers, $100,000, and now they're making $113,000 this year, what are they expecting to make next year? Because then I need to I gotta see where the percentages are.
So I'm personally less interested in percentages, just because I think historically this board has had a hard time getting straight answers about what people get paid for some reason. And I think, again, especially now, if there can be a really transparent, this is what this person was getting paid in 2025, this is what we're gonna pay them in 2026, this is what that multiplies out to for a full year. There's no question and mystery for the public, the board, the budget committee, anyone.
And I would also add to that, I think this board it shouldn't be a department head signing off on what the pay rate should be. It should be this board that's signing those forms.
100%.
I don't want to see somebody in a department head that's signing off to say, hey, my new rate is this.
Jillian had a suggestion for a policy.
I actually do have a policy and a form if you would like to take a look at it.
Sure.
Yeah, I think were you presenting that today or next week?
What do you
But
want to
you-
do?
They brought it up.
The sooner the better.
Okay.
Yeah.
I mean, I think at this point, it makes sense to roll it out January 1st for the new budget, right? We could have one sheet of paper that has everyone's pay rates,
Mhm.
sign off on it all at once as a board.
I think it would make life a lot easier too for Julie if you can just go, now let me schedule it out. Because we can't, the rates wouldn't change until the March meeting.
So that is a decision that we as a board can make.
Okay.
So I know historically the reply has been that things can't change until March. That's not technically accurate. My understanding is that when that was said by people previously, the expectation is that you would then also budget for next January, February, March. So it's still 12 months. You're still budgeting for 12 months at the same rate. Why not just match it with the calendar year that's our actual budget?
Mine comes in every April 1st, even though I know what it's going to be in January. It doesn't start until April 1st. I don't have a problem starting it after we have the legislative body voting on what that is. And we historically did 16 weeks. This is what your rate is. And once,
Right, it's just a
once it
nightmare to
passes-
calculate it that way.
No, because it's a 16-week calculation. The school does it.
No, the
school's on-
school does not
the
does it.
School's on their own little schedule because of the calendar year of the school. But
So
typically,
the
it's just
school
how
does it
works.
on a July 1st to to June 30th
Mhm.
schedule, which is what the town could also do. But we don't. We
Mhm.
operate January 1st to December 31st. I think
Mhm.
there's no reason not to budget the same way in terms of the board needing to abide by the vote at town meeting. The board has to abide by the bottom line number. So a couple years ago, a cut was made at town meeting. The person who made that cut said that it was intended to be a cut towards salaries. The select board at the time said, no, thank you. We're gonna still give people their raises and cut somewhere else. So we're not actually bound by that.
No, but I would stay consistent where this is your rate. Tell everyone, this is your rate, and your rate goes until after the town meeting. For me at work, it's April 1st. Tell me what they expect my rate to be. But once they pass everything, even my bonus and stuff doesn't come in until April 1st.
I think the challenge that we've had with that in the past, based on sitting at some of those meetings in the audience and going back and reading some minutes, and is that sometimes things that were maybe not fully transparent got kind of hidden under, oh, well, that looks like a higher percentage because of the week split.
Well, I'm still approving a year's budget, right? So I'm going to still be paying that person from April 1st until March 30th.
But that's that's not how the budget works. It goes from January 1st to December 31st.
But we're agreeing to continue the budget as is until the town meeting, until we ratify the budget, the
No, we're
new
just
proposed
hoping-
budgets.
We're just hoping that.
And if it doesn't ratify, then we have to make some changes.
Yes.
And then that's where it comes back to this board to go back and say, now, that's great that they made a recommendation when the select board said, nope, we're still gonna be giving these raises and stuff. Again, raises compound. So to me, you have to look at that and go, what was the taxpayers' message to, as the legislative body, to the appointed or elected board? It's up to the detriment of this board if they went in a different direction. Clearly, there's been some detriment because there's been modifications to the board, right? So we know that you have to
Sorry,
abide by the
I lost you.
legislative body.
I lost you.
You want to abide by the legislative body. So if they dictate to that they didn't want to see raises of 43%, personally, I would have probably
Who
said.
said there was a
"We're not
raise
gonna-"
of 43%?
I'm just throwing numbers.
Oh,
out.
okay.
Right. Ultimately, we're gonna have to stay within a 4%
You have to
tax
stay within
cap,
4%, right? So to me, I think historically, the first 16 weeks, that they stayed in the same salary. Now, on the flip side, yeah, they got the raise, and then it goes for an extra 16 weeks in the next calendar.
Right, so it's
And that-
12 months at
That's
the
how it
same
works,
rate.
right, Tilly?
So I'm just trying to
Yeah,
understand why we
okay.
can't just budget 12 months at the same rate.
Well, I thought you were saying we changed their rate in January to what the new rate would be.
Yes, So
I
it covers the
disagree with
12
that.
months that matches our budget.
Until they ratify the salary lines and the budgets and everything else in March, I don't think that's prudent. I think you're spending money before you've gotten approval for it.
Well, that is how this board has operated. I recognize that might not be how your
Didn't
board.
do it for 18 years.
I hear you loud and clear, but as you pointed out, this is a different board.
And
So
I agree with that, but I would
and
not support that, but that's me.
Okay, I guess, I could make the motion, but
Do you have
I
a comment,
I see the
Jim?
budget committee chair would like to.
You can speak to it now if you want.
Jim Hasher, Budget Committee Chair. I commend Letty. I think what she's saying actually, and I'm also going to speak as the chair of the cemetery trustees, because on her first thing about turning in the salaries, details, when I first became the chair of the trustees, I believe the former town administrator gave me a template to use. And it is very complicated in what she's saying, this whole 13-week at the previous year's rate and 39 weeks at the current year rate. You then have to do the FICA based on those two things. In years where the retirement, you have to base the retirement on those two different lines. And in years where the retirement is split, it's really complicated. And so one, I know I helped Wayne do his. I think what you were asking for is that we get those sheets, right? Your first comment about getting those sheets.
Yeah, so I have
think
already
we
asked
should-
for a couple, like, so some of the budgets we got were literally just, and I had asked
Thank
Julie
you.
for any backup information, because
Yeah.
what the board got was just kind of the summary.
Correct.
I had asked for any backup information about, like, how did you calculate this salary line? Because I know that there's more than one person in there. How does
Right.
that break down?
Correct.
And I think that it would be good as a board for us to understand
But
those salaries and those salary changes.
so again, so thank you. I think that's a great idea. And if you get them, we should have it on budget committee as well. But back to her motion, I agree. When the legislative body, when we put together a budget and we submit that to the state, it's effective January 1st. And those first 3 months, January, February, March, are operating under the assumption that the legislative body will approve the budget that the budget committee submitted. If the legislative body changes that budget in any way, yes, we then, for the remainder of the year, those next 9 months, have to abide by what the legislative body says. I think what her point is, and I agree with her, I don't understand why we have to assume, because the salaries are, they're a big part of the budget, but they're not the entire budget. We're operating January, February, March under the assumption that the budget that the budget committee submitted to the state is going to be approved. And if it's not, you have to act in those 9 months. I think we could save a lot of complexity in the budgeting process and coming up with the salary rates. And it is true what she says. Because we have this goofy, the salaries don't align with our fiscal year, it's true. You go, hey, how come we gave them a 3% raise, but it's showing up we gave them whatever, 5. It's like, oh, well, because it's left over from the previous year, you got 3 months. So if she's making a motion, I recommend that you adopt this. I think, and from a budget committee standpoint, I would support that as well. I think we should together come up with a budget with salary increases and it's for the whole year. That cost is for the whole year. And if the legislative body changes it, and we had an example of that in 2023, I believe, and she's correct, the select board is then responsible for figuring out where those cuts are going to come from. And if you take them out of the salary line because you want to do salary, you take a salary. If you want to take it from somewhere else, you take it somewhere else. I think you should support this because it simplifies the budgeting process for all the department heads, as well as for the budget committee and for select board to look at what's the true increase here that's going on. It's not a mixture. It's not the 9 months and 3 months thing of the previous year. And honestly, there's really no risk. The legislative body still has final say on what the total appropriation is. That's all they're voting on is total appropriation, right? They can go in and they can vote lines as well. But again, you'd have to abide by that. That's all. So I think this is a really good idea. I think it simplifies it. I kind of never understood why when I first saw the spreadsheet that I did for the cemetery trustees, I'm like, wow, this is really complicated. And they told me, oh, it's because our raises don't go into effect till April. And, I don't know why that was determined. I did look up, I can find nothing in RSA that says it has to be done that way. So I guess it was just a policy or something that we did, or maybe it was because you felt, like you said, oh, well, we want the legislative body to approve the raises, but it's truly the legislative body has the opportunity to approve the budget. So I would say I support what Letty's trying to do here. I think it makes things much simpler.
I haven't heard her motion yet, but.
No, well, that's why I said I wasn't going to speak. I wasn't going to speak if she didn't make a motion, but I hope she does, because I think it's a really good idea, and I think we should do it for this year. I think we should do it for this year.
Just to add on to what Jim just said, every municipality I've ever worked for has done it that way. Not that that makes it right, I'm just saying it's not just Brentwood that does that way.
Which way?
The 16 and 39 or whatever.
Did the budget used to go from town meeting to town meeting, or has it always
No,
been?
it's always been, but it's always been assumed that you spent at the prior year's rate until you got an approved budget.
Because we are just operating on a hope and a prayer the first
Correct.
3 months of the year, which is also wild.
The other problem with this year, starting raises in January, is now you're adding to the budget that we already don't have room for with the 4%.
So we keep hearing this, that we don't have room with the 4%, and I would like to push back on that. We as a board get to decide how we want that to go.
Correct.
So if, because of this insurance thing, we have to raise that line more than 4%, or trash is definitely gonna go up by more than 4%. We know that. The minimum in the rate is 5%. So right there, we're gonna have to find somewhere else to cut in the budget. So telling everyone that they can just go for 4% is not gonna work. We have to look at the whole budget holistically.
Totally agree.
And
I'm
so
just
I-
saying that's extra money that we're spending that we normally wouldn't have.
Well, we still would have, we're just spending it
No, we
Three.
wouldn't have.
3 months in advance, or we're spending it now. We're spending it January, February, March of 26 instead of January, February, March of 27.
Correct, but it's two different budgets.
Because we're still operating under the ratified budget from the prior meeting in March.
Until
I
December
agree with you, it's a
31st, yeah.
great idea. The problem is now we're just increasing the budget.
For the calendar year.
Okay,
And the calendar year doesn't, unfortunately, it doesn't run January to December. It runs.
the calendar year does run
Well,
January to
It
December.
does, but the approved ratified budget runs from the end, from the March.
No, it runs January 1st to December 31st.
Because we're technically, like you said, living on a prayer.
No,
For
but-
3 months.
But we're living on a prayer, meaning there's no budget. It's not that we're operating under last year's budget. Like in the RSA, it doesn't say that you operate on last year's budget.
It might be directions from DRA. I know there was some requirement or recommendation from them, just like there's a requirement that they have that we keep 5 to 17%.
Please don't talk about that right now. It's not time for that yet.
I look at this.
No, just
for numbers.
that's a mess also that we can get into. So I'll make that motion. That starting with the 2026 budget, we request that department heads give us 12 months at the same rate.
Is there a second? Hearing none, we'll move forward. Okay. Was there anything else?
No, and
For public? No, I think non-public though, right?
Yeah.
I know.
Yep.
I really think that we as a board should discuss what our overall goals are for the budget, but
Well, I thought we would do that and then move into those,
Yeah.
budgets for
I
next
can
week.
tell you, personally, I want to see people coming in either.
Can you speak into the microphone more? Thank you.
I thought I had a loud enough voice, but personally, I would love to see budgets coming in at no more than 4%. I would love to see 10% reductions on some of the budgets, so we know that we have additional monies that are gonna have to be come up for
But
trash and everything else. And I think I want people to sharpen their pencils.
But that's where I think we as a board have to guide those pencil sharpenings.
And that's, I personally, my message would be sharpen your pencils, come in here with a level budget and something that's reasonable and prudent that we can move forward, since we know we have some edifications that we need to make up for to clarify where we stand as a whole as a budget, knowing that I have to meet the RA standards and stuff like that. I want to get that back to where it needs to be. I don't want to have where we're signing a form saying, we understand we're not in compliance.
So that's a different thing.
It is a different thing, but it's all money and it comes from one spot.
It is all money, but that's not about the budget. Well, it is,
It is about the budget.
if you're, okay.
It's
In
budgetary.
a sense.
It is. It's,
Yeah. I
you
mean,
have,
that also includes
you have
revenues, so.
this pile of money to play with. Some of it has to go here, some of it has to go to benefits, some of it has to go to salary, some of it has to go to equipment. We
Absolutely,
need
and I
to
guess
manage that.
what I'm asking is that, is anyone else on this board other than me gonna come up with a plan before next week for what that looks like as a whole package?
I think we have a discussion about that
Yeah.
next week.
Yeah, I think we need to send the message that please sharpen your pencils and come before the board prepared to get peppered. If you come in here with a 13% raise, I'm probably gonna have a discussion with you about it.
Would
And it's
anyone
not
on
gonna
this
be a
board
comfortable
like to
discussion.
see where I was gonna make cuts based on the budgets we got last week?
Right this moment?
Just in general, I can
Yeah,
send, like.
sure.
if-
I mean, this
Yeah,
is a
sure.
discussion. so-
No, I know, I'm just saying, like, I thought that the point of waiting for a week before we started looking at all the budgets, and I thought the point of getting all the budgets ahead of time was that we would come up with a plan.
Yeah, typically, historically, from my perspective, whenever we would talk about budgets, they would come present their budget to us, and then we would give them individually feedback. They go back, and then they come back before the budget committee and the rep for the board, who's gonna be talking and massaging whatever numbers they have to get them in compliance to what the board's
Right.
overlooking.
The difference this time is that we have all the numbers right now, where
Mhm.
historically, you would not have had all the numbers until you had the last budget in front of you.
Right.
I don't have a problem next week, dealing in the first instance before we get to the specific budget.
Have we,
General discussion.
Have we closed out 24 yet?
No.
Why can't we move to close that out? So we aren't able to close it for reasoning? What's the reasoning for not saying, listen, we're not paying any more money out of 2024 budget, it's all, now we're on to 25? Right, but it makes life easier for an accountant if I know that book is closed, reconcile it, and let's move forward, versus us rehashing 10 months into the year. I'm still trying to reconcile my checkbook from last year.
Yeah, we know.
I'm not coming up with any money for last year because that's already, that ship has sailed.
We don't, I think the point is we don't know where the ship is or,
It's easy if you close the checkbook, there's no more money that can come out of that checkbook. So that stops it immediately.
Well, the checkbook is closed.
the checkbook is closed, but like there's the rec funds, there's other funds that maybe should have reimbursed the general fund that we're not sure that that happened. I think.
But if you close that book, then that's still gonna come into revenue for this year if they have to pay me back, correct?
No.
How are you gonna take it out of that checkbook or give it back to that checkbook?
It would be
Because that
just
thing-
in the general fund as
Right.
unexpended fund balance, it's not revenue.
Right, it's an unrun reserve balance that we're putting back into 2025.
But
No,
that's why we
it's-
need to know what it is. Because if we don't know what the actual unreserved fund balance is, because we don't know if things that were supposed to come out of capital reserves or impact fees or detail fund,
Right, so we should have that by when, Julie? Am I putting you on the spot?
Okay, cool. So if we can get that done, I really would love to close those books. And then now
I
we
think
can
what she's
focus on
saying is
25.
officially that can't happen until we, have the audit. but-
Spur it.
But,
That's
yeah.
me. I'll give you some spurs. Give him a kick.
I think she knows.
Okay,
Yeah, okay.
cool.
Public comment? Yes, Betsy.
It's on. Betsy Ibbotson, Scrabble Road. Everybody's been talking about transparency. What day did did Chief Dodie turn in his resignation?
Was that Tuesday morning? I don't know.
I know it's dated Wednesday morning. His resignation is dated Wednesday morning.
Okay. Well, then there you
So
go.
why didn't we hear about it until it was on Brentwood Chats
We
yesterday?
didn't have a meeting
Until tonight.
until tonight. So.
We knew about it on Tuesday. It was Tuesday.
Before, when other people were let go or when people quit, it was put on announcements on the Brentwood website. Personally, I'm pretty upset that it was a week later before we found out, and that was because it was in the Dover newspaper, before a citizen that pays this person's salary knew about it. I think that's a little bit of a problem with transparency.
Okay, thank you. Can you just state your name and where you're from? Yeah, great, thanks.
Todd Bradshaw, Pickpocket Road. There was always this question over the recent months, and since March, actually, a question of some money that was brought forward that was a big question. Where are we on that? I mean, I've been watching budgets, and everybody's concerned about payroll and insurance premiums and so forth. Where are we with that? Can anybody?
Yeah,
Of
so I
that
think
fund.
you're talking about like the reconciliation. I
I'm
think-
talking about, I believe the way it was described to me was 400 and some odd $1,000 in impact fees that weren't really revealed as to where they went. They were listed in the town report, but it was never answered to where they went. And an additional 600,000 and some change that was a revolving fund of some degree, if I'm not mistaken. And I just want to know some clarification of where that money went, because it was never told. I tried to read about it, I tried to find, I asked questions. Couldn't find anything. So could anybody clarify?
Are you talking about how in the most recent town report, there was not a detail about impact fees or revolving funds or any of those?
All I know is there was an amount of money that couldn't be found that had been apparently spent, but nobody could answer questions as to where that was.
That's the first I'm hearing about it, Todd?
Yeah.
This is the
I've-
first of it, because I
I've
asked
never
about,
heard that we're missing
I
$1
asked
million.
about this in August, and the
Yeah.
reply
I mean, I
I
think-
got from the board was, it's there. Now, it being the money is there. I'm interested to know where is there, is it? Where is it? Where is there?
I think we've had discussion about the general cash having been reconciled, and now we were just talking about specific funds
Because
like the
there's a lot of issue here on money and concerns of budgets and all this. And it seems like we kind of walked right over that. That issue was a pretty big issue back in March and April. And now it seems to have kind of faded away, and we're not really talking about it. And I'd just like to get clarification on it.
Was that from the town meeting or?
It was one of the residents found it in the budget. They found it was drawn into the budget, was part of an explanation of money that was taken into the town, but never discovered where it went to. And that was a pretty big topic at that time.
I would, I guess, I'd have to. Yeah. I would say.
I wouldn't expect you that you
Yeah.
would, because you just got here.
Yeah.
this weekend.
I'm like,
And I know Jim.
You have less stuff in your brain,
can't answer
Jim.
on that
Well,
because
but
he
he
wasn't
has
here.
less stuff in his brain about, like, you've only been here for those 6 months. Do you remember anything?
I have nothing in my brain,
Oh,
really.
sorry.
is it,
Sorry.
No,
is it stuff that was when you know how you guys set the tax rate and you offset it? Is it funds from that or not?
No.
it's not ringing a bell to me,
Yeah.
honestly.
So,
Yeah.
we can go, you said that was in August that you asked at a meeting, at one of our meetings?
I was here in August and I asked at
Okay.
an August meeting.
And then you think it started like
And the
after
reply
town
I
meeting?
got from the board was, it's there. That's the,
Well,
phrase, it's
that's.
there. That's all I got.
Okay, well, I guess we can go back and look at that meeting and see.
Yeah, it must
Yeah.
I mean, if there was massaging of $1 million, I would hope somebody would find it.
Yeah. Yeah.
I want to know now. I'm curious what it is, so.
I'm just wondering.
Curious
if
what
there's
I mean, I came in and I spoke with Andrea. I asked Andrea. She goes, "The best answer I can give you is it's there."
That's,
And then a week later, she resigned. A lot of people have been resigning. Every time I ask a question to any one individual, they seem to resign shortly thereafter.
I'm here till at least
Certainly
tomorrow.
not that I'm promoting
Yeah.
resignations. I'm not.
I'm not going anywhere.
But it looks like everybody's bailing out of a burning plane here.
So here's what we'll do. We'll look into it and we'll have an answer for you next
That's
week.
good.
All right?
That's excellent.
Okay.
Yeah. Because I'll be back and I'll ask again. I hope to get an answer because I know, there's been.
And
a
you
lot
don't
of-
want an answer that it's there.
Well.
Okay.
I don't want him to
wanna-
have
I don't
that
wanna hit
answer
the same
either.
old thing. I'd like a real explanation.
I understand.
think that warrants it considering the taxes we're all paying and the rates that are going
Sure.
up. And, everybody's wants their insurance paid and doesn't want to have to contribute. And we go through all this all the time. And it just seems like a simple question is where was the money that was in question and never can get an answer on.
I think that's one of my reasons for focusing on let's close 24 and close 25
Yeah, and-
timely, because then at least here's the numbers.
And part of what we've had done and what we've been in the process of doing is having an accountant, scrutinize, those books. And he, and
And
what
the
we,
initial
what we,
accountant, again, quit, resigned, had enough, said, after 2 weeks.
well,
I guess it's
yeah,
somebody else's problem.
yeah, we've had an accountant on board who, has been looking at that, who has reconciled the cash.
And
I
didn't
know
give
that,
any, no indication of what had transpired at all?
and Julie had reported this at previous
Julie's
meetings.
been here a month. I
Yeah,
don't expect
right.
she's gonna be able to do all that in a month, but,
No, this is done by the CPA who we had hired that,
and
Yeah.
no answers, he didn't.
no, that everything was reconciled and everything was.
Is he talking about, before we had the CPA, we had Cheryl?
Right, but that was for a short.
Yeah, that was
Yeah,
even more
period.
brief than everyone else.
Oh, no, I'm
Is
just,
that another accountant?
Yes.
she was,
She was a finance manager.
she was
that
supposed to
worked
help
with
us,
Andrea.
help us get to 24 and closing out. We
Right.
didn't make it.
So the CPA basically did, whatever,
But you guys didn't get it like a forensic accountant? You
No.
guys Just got a
No.
CPA.
no, correct,
I'm,
correct.
I deal with forensics.
So I don't really know how to respond to
Well,
that,
I
except
mean-
that we have a CPA who's been
And I-
reviewing
and I
all
c-
the books and
I'm
the
working
cash.
on-
I can
figuring out
understand
what
where you
you're-
guys are sitting. I wouldn't want to be a selectman. I would not want to be a selectman here or anywhere. I think it's a thankless job. I think it sucks. But some people enjoy it and they work at it and they're good at it and they should be selectmen. I'm a taxpayer. I don't have a choice. I have to pay my taxes or my head gets cut off. Or I get tied to the whipping post. That's certainly happened in the past. And that doesn't justify anything. I'm just saying, we've been sitting here for weeks. I sat at the Casella meeting and it was concern about budget and how we're gonna do this and why didn't the administrator cover this? And all these different issues keep arising and revolving and arising and revolving with actually very little clarity. And when we're talking about $1 million+ and you can't get an answer on it, I understand $1 million in the big scheme of things is minuscule, I suppose.
it's not.
No,
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 it's
actually,
But it's-
Not in the
but
$7
as
million
far as,
budget, but
as far
again,
as-
there's
as
no,
far as,
but there's
like
no
I say,
indic-
being a tax
yeah, in a $7 million budget, no,
and then
that's a
when
big
everybody
thing.
keeps telling me, well, it's there, it's
But-
there. Well, where
Well,
is
but
it?
there's no indication that there's any issue.
Yeah, there was an issue in question. I'm just curious as to why that faded away. And it appears that it has by all indications from the board here tonight.
I don't think it's faded away. I think just there's a lot of things that we're trying to figure out and we don't quite have,
We're not missing $1 million. I can
well,
guarantee you that.
I'm more just
Okay.
saying, I don't
Well,
know, I don't know
that's fine,
quite what you're
but we'll
talking about
figure
to
it out.
answer your question.
Well, and Jim, I understand that. We've been figuring it out now for months. I mean,
But you have to also.
you gotta come up with an answer sometime because we're answering questions on future budgets and payrolls and
Yeah,
expenditures.
so we have a,
But
we have,
so I'm sorry,
Yeah, go
I'm
ahead.
sorry.
Yeah,
But
sorry.
you do need to understand that we're not just working on one thing. We're working on a whole mess of things, and we're figuring it all out. And I know that, you know, I've said it before, that people need to be patient. I understand that you guys are being patient. How long? I understand, it's been a while. But there's a lot that goes into this. And so, but I guarantee you that, you know, the CPA who's basically done with 24 has not come back to us and said, hey, we're missing $1 million here.
And when's the audit
Everything is
scheduled for?
lining up properly.
Yeah, we have an audit scheduled for the week of October 20th. So, you know, if there's $1 million missing, we will know about it.
Maybe it's not. Maybe it's not, but I haven't heard where it is. No one's given me any explanation.
But we're also not sure, and I think that we're all trying to figure out in our heads exactly what you're talking about. Where is that? What is the 400, 600? What does that represent? Where did it? Because I honestly don't remember that discussion.
And
I
if
think
we
I
had
would.
done that,
Is,
DRA
well,
would've been-
Oh, yeah.
I'm actually, is it possible that what you're talking about is what the budget committee chair used to estimate for revenues, and how there was a huge difference between that 1 year versus what we were estimating for revenues this year? Maybe?
I absolutely could not put my finger on it. That's why
Okay,
I'm asking.
neither could I. I'm
very-
trying.
Yeah. So you're asking us a question that you're not sure about, and we're trying to answer a
Well,
question that we're not.
I've been asking
not
the
sure
same
about.
question several times to several people, and now it's a faded away question, so I guess it's nothing to worry about.
No. Did you ever like send the town administrator an email or anything? Or was it always just
No,
a?
I came right and talked, spoke face to face.
Okay. I can see it.
So what we'll do is, I promise you, by next week, we will ask Greg if there is any discrepancies, and we will also look back at the record and see if we can come up with the $400,000 and $600,000 in question.
Are you talking about you and the mouse in your pocket?
I'm talking about us.
Right. What does that actually mean to you?
That means that you're gonna do it.
Okay. As long as we're acknowledging that that's gonna happen.
He's looking at Julie. How you doing, Julie?
Julie has no idea.
So just to
So-
clarify, was it a public meeting, or did you just come in and talk to the town administrator?
Both, they came to a selectmen's meeting and asked.
Okay,
I did talk to the administrator.
because
Next
we can search
Next-
for.
Next week, I will have a clarification on the question, and I'll present it in a much better way.
And we'll look back too and
Yeah,
try
but
and
I
figure it
will
out.
look back and
Yeah.
I'll ask it, because
Yeah.
I think it's a question that deserves an answer.
Sure,
Whether
absolutely.
it's a good answer or a bad
I-
answer, it's got, deserves an answer.
I would agree that you always deserve an answer.
Yes,
Yeah.
100%.
And I would say if you look back and figure out specifically what you're
Please let us
clarifying
know.
for, if you could shoot an email over to us,
I'll bring it right here. I'll
Bring it right
stand
in?
right in front of you. I'll be
Okay.
here next week.
all right, because then we might be able to at least get some of the answers in
Yeah.
next week.
Well, I
That'll-
will.
Even if
help
you
us.
know next week, if I just had a little more to search on, I could probably
Narrow it down.
narrow it down. Yeah.
Yeah, I'll do that.
Thank you.
I'll put some time into it this week.
I appreciate it.
Thank you, Todd.
Thank you.
Thank you.
You too.
Well, you need to change your plans now.
Wasn't there a wedding or something? Yeah,
Yeah.
cancel that. Cancel it.
Found $1 million. No.
She's never coming back.
Oh, boy, oh, boy, oh, boy. We
Just
did not need that, Bob.
So
Okay.
Tuesday you'll be studying and prepping and then you'll
All right. Okay.
Can we move along, please?
Yeah, anything else?
Well,
Well, we have non-public.
Non-public.
Motion to move
That's what I mean.
into non-public.
Thank you, everyone.
Second,
What are we-
for
What are we going?
employee matters,
Personnel.
personnel.
Thank you. Thanks, Doug.
Personnel meaning hiring, firing, discipline.
All in favor?
Aye.
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 Aye. Take 5 minutes.
And we gotta turn off the.
Yeah. I
Yep.
can do that right from here.
How you do that?
It's actually really easy. On the top, the 7-year-old criteria. So right here. The microphones still work either way, but it's not required.